Hey guys, welcome to our Final Fantasy Limited set review. I used to do these on my channel, so I know a lot of you decked out viewers will be new to this, but we've got Yanks on the call, who's one of my Twitch moderators, and we are going to be doing all of the Final Fantasy cards from the main set that will show up in your sealed and draft pools. And then we're going to give them a rating between 1 and 10 based on how well we think they will perform in the average limited deck. So that's kind of sealed and draft, a little bit split. We might make a note that maybe something would be better in one more than the other type deal. But we're not talking about constructed synergies at all. We're not talking about how good they are in standard or modern or commander or anything like that. It's just limited to get you guys prepped for your pre-releases and your releases. And we're going to be kicking this off to start by doing an introduction to the Final Fantasy set. We're going to go over all of the new mechanics, returning mechanics, draftable archetypes, and all of the fun things that you guys need to know going into these events. And Arena, right? It launches on Arena on the 10th, and you guys are probably seeing this on the 4th, 5th. So keep that in mind when you guys are planning to go to these events. I'll probably break it into 2 videos because they're going to be rather long, probably over 6 hours of streamed content. Also, Yanks, you correct me if I'm wrong, but don't know a whole lot about Final Fantasy, like the games, right?
Not a ton. I mean, I've seen you play 9 several times. I played 7 years ago when it first came out, but don't remember it well. And I played a decent amount of Final Fantasy 13. I never actually finished the game.
So I will be giving you guys a little bit of my knowledge of the game as it comes up. You'll see me get very excited, but I'll just be very honest with you guys. The first 8 I played a very, very long time ago. Don't remember a ton. Tactics I've played a bunch. 9 and 10 I've played a bunch. 11 and 14 I've played a fair amount, the online versions. But beyond that, I don't really know a ton. So bear with me. I'll do my best to do a little fan service for those of you guys who are Final Fantasy fans, but let's go ahead and jump straight into the new mechanics, which is the thing everybody kind of needs to know the most about. I also didn't pull up my notes like a good girl.
Oh.
Job select is the first new mechanic that we're going to be talking about today, and we're going to be looking at Black Mage's Rod. And again, we won't be rating it just because we'll do that later when we get to the card in the black section. But Yanks, you wanna kick us off with job select?
Sure. Job Select is a version of a mechanic we've seen several times before where it's on equipment, and when the equipment enters, it creates a creature token and attaches to this. So this first showed up in Mirrodin Besieged with Living Weapon when it created the 0/0 germ. We saw it in All Will Be One for Mirrodin when it created a 2/2 rebel. Here it creates a 1/1 colorless hero. That's the only difference. Otherwise, it plays exactly the same as those mechanics.
Yeah, so pretty similar. I agree. I'm wondering if there is going to be, because Final Fantasy, like your heroes, I'm wondering if there's going to be much synergy that goes along with heroes specifically. I'm excited to see because if I remember correctly, in those like Germ and Rebel, those were not relevant to the gameplay. I think Hero might be.
Germ certainly wasn't. I don't remember if Rebel was, or maybe just more was relevant to the storyline than the game itself.
Yeah, I don't. I think Rebel was like a thing in, like you said, like the flavor of the set that we were in, but I don't think like there was like Rebel Lords.
No, I think you're right.
But I think there might be like if you have a hero on board, do X. Like I think that might be kind of cool. But we'll see.
And if I'm not mistaken, you'll have to correct me on this, but I think jobs are like Final Fantasy's version of specs from WoW, right?
No, it's jobs is usually Final Fantasy. That's WoW's version of class.
Okay, classes. Sorry, say yeah.
Yep.
But it's not jobs are not like professions in WoW. They're
Correct. Yeah, they're Black Mage, so on and so
yep,
forth. Yep.
yep.
All right. The next one we're going to talk about uh, is this a new mechanic?
Yeah, so tiered. It's very similar to Spree from
Yeah.
Outlaws at Thunder Junction. The
You just can't
difference
do
is
multiple.
you can't do multiple. That's the difference. You have to choose one. I believe these modal cards, every single one of them, the first one is 0, the additional cost.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can choose. So for this, you can pay just a red to do fire. You can do 2 in a red for Fira and 5 in a red for Firaga.
Yes.
Um,
I actually played this in a game the other day. I played it in a Commander game because we Decked Out has already filmed like 4-ish Final Fantasy games, and I got to slam this, which made me very very happy. And I was this was before like all of the set notes had really come out, and I wanted to pay multiple to get like 5. But it is just 1, which does make me sad. But you're right. If it was more than 1, it would just be spree.
the one note I have on this mechanic is comes up occasionally that the mana value of this spell, so no matter which you choose, the mana value is always 1. It is
Okay.
just the cost. The rest are considered additional costs, which is not part of the spell's mana value.
Yep. That I don't know how much that's going to come up in limited, but it certainly comes up in other things for sure.
Yep.
All right, moving on. We have Saga Creatures. This is an interesting thing that we've come across in a couple of our Commander games. Is we have sagas. We know what those do, right? But they've never really been on a creature before. So it acts the same way here. You get Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, but during that time, you can block, you can attack, you can do all of the things. But then when you hit Saga 3, it dies. Like it's a creature, but only for a little bit. And to me, that seems like a really interesting mechanic flavor wise, because in Final Fantasy, you summon your different aeons or summons, and they never last the whole fight, right? They're supposed to go away. They tend to die or almost always die before the end of the fight. They're good for a couple of turns, and so just like thematically, I think this is very very well done. It's interesting that you can disenchant them. You can do so much. You can flicker them, which would be kind of cool to reset. But yeah, a new twist on a returning mechanic.
Sure, we've seen sagas that aren't creatures. We've seen sagas that transform into creatures. Now we just get sagas that are creatures.
Yep, and then they just die. But the cool thing about it is that you can return creatures from your graveyard into your hand or to your battlefield, which means these count. So you can have those sagas. You have some more flexibility to bring those sagas back.
Sure.
All right. Next up, we have towns. This is a new town, a new land cycle, and we showed a modal here or an adventure here, but there are actual towns that are not adventures.
Yeah. Every non-basic land in this set is a town. A town is a new subtype. Think like gate,
Yep.
for example, and it just there are cards in the set that care about the number of towns you have and things like that. So just a new subtype that they added to lands in this set.
And later in this introduction section, you'll see one of my favorite towns. Yay! The last one we wanted to talk about for returning or for new mechanics is kind of not a mechanic at all. And what they've done is they've stapled on a bunch of what looks to be ability mechanic names to random effects, but they are just useless. They're like the ability here on battle menu, attack, ability, magic, item. This isn't anything like that's not a running mechanic you'll see throughout multiple cards. It's just the name of a thing for flavor. They did do this. Yeah, HD mentions like D&D. They absolutely did this in D&D. Also, like the commander cards also have special names. Like Titus has the cheer ability, which just does something, and it's just a creature's ability. The ability cheer is not a theme throughout the set. It's just that's what Titus does because he's a blitzball player, so on and so forth. So he does something to cheer on your team. So they're just like superficial names that are given to abilities that cards have that are not like mechanics, right?
The reason we wanted to mention this is they look like landfall, which is an ability word. They're templated the same way, but
Yep.
they are just there for flavor.
But there won't be like creatures that have the magic ability that allow you to destroy creatures or anything like that.
Exactly.
Next up, we're going to go into returning mechanics. I don't remember. This is just a flip card, modal cards, right?
Transforming double face cards is the mechanic here. And one thing to note, and we'll show you that there we have two of these cards, is that unlike some of previous sets, especially like werewolf type sets, there's no commonality as to what makes them transform. Each card has its own transform condition. In this case, see at the beginning of your first main phase, if you control 4 or more birds, transform it. It's a uh, trigger ability. You check at the beginning of your first main phase. If you have this, then you transform it. There's also versions that have activated abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these exile and come back. Some don't. They stay on the battlefield and transform. There's not a lot of commonality, so you have to be careful when reading the cards on this.
Yeah, the transforms that stay on the battlefield are interesting with like +1/+1 counters. The exile ones is really interesting. And where you see that those things are super relevant is for cards that flip into like a planeswalker. Now, I haven't looked at the set as thoroughly yet as the main set. I've done all the commander stuff as Yanks has, so I'm not sure. But like for example, if you have like a creature that transforms and has a planeswalker on the other side, it's important that it does leave the battlefield and returns transformed, because otherwise, if it just flips, you don't get those planeswalker loyalty counters. So it is relevant how they flip, and paying attention to that could be super relevant.
For sure. So this is just one side quest. Raise a Chocobo is one with a triggered ability, and Crystal Fragments, the other one we have here, is another set of types in the set where you can activate the ability.
Yep. So this is pay 7, and you get to flip the card transformed, and it becomes something else.
And if you notice, if you go back to the Raise a Chocobo one, that one, I believe, does not leave the battlefield. It just transforms. But Crystal Fragment says, exile this and return it transformed.
Yeah. It's going to matter in some aspects, which is interesting. So like, for example, I mean, I have to look at the other, I don't have the other side on here, but for example, if you were to target this with a disenchant and you were to just transform it, does the transform remove the target? No, right?
No, because it's the same object.
So that's exactly. So that's the key difference here. If you go to exile this and then it transforms, you still get you still get to blow it up. Whereas this, if you go to disenchant this and I in response activate it, although this is sorcery speed, so that wouldn't work. But hypothetically, if you could do it at instant speed, you would get a new object because it leaves the battlefield and enters the battlefield. Right?
Exactly.
Great.
Exactly. Yep.
Now we're going to talk about a new returning mechanic in Adventures. We saw this in the Eldraine sets, which I love. I think Adventures is a really, really cool card. They look a lot like what we just had in Tarkir, which was not Adventures. It was called something else, Omens.
Omens, yep.
But the difference is that here they don't get shuffled back into your library. They actually go into the Adventure Zone, which is like a secondary exiled zone, which you can then play the other side of the spell. So, for example, you could cast Mage Siege here, and you could get the Black Wizard, and then you can go ahead and play this land afterwards. So you get both, which is really interesting. Or if you don't want to pay the mana, you could just play it as a land.
It's kind of another type of modal land. In this case, there are only 5 of them in the set. There's a monocolor cycle of rare lands that all have these adventures.
Yeah. And this is Lindblum, which is from Final Fantasy IX. So you guys will see me really fawning over all of the 9 and 10 stuff. So yay, I love this one. Finally, we've got a couple more land cycling. So this is just pay 2. You discard, search your library for an island card. This is specifically island cycling. But there's, I'm guessing, a whole cycle here of the different basic cycles, right?
There's one cycle of commons that all have, type cycling too. Island cycling, plain cycling, swamp cycling, etc.
Yep. And shout out to 10. Again, one of my favorites. These guys are super cool and always make me think of Lulu. Now we have Resentful Revelation. This is marked as flashback. So that is a mechanic we see pretty often. I almost feel like at this point we don't need to talk about them. They are becoming more common.
They are. They keep doing different versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just had, was it Harmonize?
Tarkir had Harmonize, yeah.
So I think just good old original flashback from Odyssey is back.
Yep. Shout out to 7. And then Chocobo Racetrack, which is landfall. So whenever a land enters the battlefield, you get to do X. Landfall doesn't specifically give you a perk, a dedicated perk. It is just a trigger that happens that makes something happen. So every time a land happens, you get something, and then that will depend on what the landfall card says. I can't imagine there's a ton of landfall because I doubt it's like a full theme, but
No, but there was enough that I did when I was looking through these cards that I didn't just say question whether or not we should talk about it.
yeah. It also, does this art remind anyone else of like Mario Kart? Like this is very,
That's definitely the finish line in a Mario Kart race.
yeah, for sure. Just a little like kind of creepier.
It's like a really creepy Kirby.
Yeah. All right, so then we are done with our returning mechanics. The last few things we wanted to talk about is things that we don't think you need a new refresher on, but just briefly, we've got vehicles. So those are creatures, artifacts that can turn into creatures if you crew them by tapping other creatures. We have affinity, which means things that can be cast at a discount based on how many of the same type of permanent you have. So affinity for artifacts means it costs colorless less based on the number of artifacts. This is something that has been going back in time forever. It looks like we have towns, birds, artifacts.
I believe those are the only three, and just the reminder on this is that I think when people hear affinity, they just assume artifacts, but it's not. It's affinity for something.
Yeah, I think we recently have an affinity for maybe it was in Commander.
We have
Oh,
had
no, I literally just yesterday played a commander that was affinity for Daleks specifically from Doctor Who. So, yeah, I don't know if you're here, Red, but your deck, I just played it. Good job. Go ahead.
just I just wanted that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring it up here is that affinity, especially with older players like me, just triggers a visceral reaction of original Mirrodin,
Yeah,
broken artifacts,
I
artifact
hate,
lands everywhere.
I hated the limited environment. Next up, we have some single appearances, which are typically cards that are like rare, mythic, and only happens once, so we don't really need to talk about it a ton. They're mostly constructed cards. They're not even usually very good. So to start off, it's Meld. I guess technically, Yanks, you lied. That is not a single appearance. That is a double appearance.
It says Meld is on a single pair on the notes.
Oh, you did parentheses it. Wow, I can't even got you. I can't even actually you one time. Yanks was kind enough to go through and make the intro show notes for us. Okay, you take it away.
Yeah, so Meld is on a pair of Lassie's, Vanille, and Fang. For anyone that played Final Fantasy 13, they basically the two cards together. If you own them both, you can pay a mana, exile them both, and meld them into a big combined card. We saw that back in Eldritch Moon with a few. I think it was three pairs of cards.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones that we've got single appearances for are Devotion from Theros block. It's only on one card. Protection, which has been around since Alpha, but doesn't get used as much anymore. And then Hideaway is on one land, where you get to look at the top few cards, hide one underneath it, and then play it for free when a condition is met.
Yep. Okay. Hideaway, really popular in Commander as well. So that is going to be it for our introduction to Final Fantasy. Those are the broad strokes of what you need to know going into like the playability of the cards. The last thing is that we'll just briefly touch on is the draftable archetypes. These are the what you'll be finding yourselves either drafting or trying to situate yourself in for your limited pools for sealeds. Let's talk about first Azorius, which is artifacts. Oh wow, Knight of Bawa, 5 gifted subs. Thank you so much. After we get through the intro, we'll take a little pause and thank you guys all for your support. Artifacts, yeah, Titus and Blitzball Star are two of the main cards. We're going to be doing a lot of artifact business, which is good because I think Titus is Bant in Commander, so like that's still pretty on par. Although I think he's counters, not artifacts.
So the main Titus card here, I'm just looking at it, is both. It's whenever an artifact enters, put a counter on it.
Perfect. So that's very, very similar and would fit well in most of the archetypes Commander stuff. Next up, we have Control for Demir. Scheme and act in secret.
Yeah, this was the kind of least specific of the archetypes, the way they defined them. It felt to me, but that's kind of just Blue Black's thing. It's just draw out the game, 1 for 1, get some card draw. You've got flashback in the set, which will help kind
It
of
looks like flashback is
get
the
that card
main
advantage.
mechanic in that color pair,
Yeah, so
right?
that's kind of, yep, that's kind of what we're just trying to do, is just grind them out, basically.
Now let's talk about Rakdos. We have Black Mage aggro, and that's going to deal a lot with the wizard tokens. So sort of a spell slinger-esque thing, which I would have thought would have been more Is It, but
I was just gonna say it's an interesting twist that something we normally see in Is It, that it's in Rakdos this time.
I think it's because it's a little bit of a flavor fail to have a Black Mage in blue,
Agreed. I think that's probably a lot of it.
which is kind of cool. Like, I like the idea of breaking the color pie here, but you're doing the Is It pinging thing in Rakdos, which I think is cool. And it's not too much of a break the pie, right? Because the reds
Oh,
were usually the pingers anyway in Is It.
exactly. That's where
But
the ping was coming from, was the red in the Is It. So
yeah, but here I think they're largely going to be coming from the black wizards, which are black, but I bet you they're going to be made by a lot of red cards.
I think so.
So it's a flavor, and it's not really bending that color pie too much, but I think it's interesting.
For sure.
Gruul, or sorry,
Gruul. Yeah.
what?
Oh, I was gonna say, and then you've got Gruul, which does Gruul things.
Yeah,
The
but
same
it's
stuff it always does.
specifically the landfall side of Gruul. But again, I agree. None of these seem to be too crazy, except for maybe the Rakdos. Selesnya, go wide. Call forth a battalion to fight, it says.
Yep. Make tokens,
Go wide,
go
do
wide with
stuff.
them, boost them. Same, it's very similar to what we see often. Orzhov, one of your favorites usually, is this is kind of a mix of something you sometimes see in Rakdos with the artifact creature sacrifice. You do see creature sacrifice in Orzhov too, to be fair, but the
Yeah, but
artifacts are usually
usually
more
when
of
you
a
pair it with
Rakdos.
artifacts, you tend to be. So you're right. I think that's more Rakdos for sure. Let's go. Is it big non-creatures? So big spells. Whenever you cast spells that cost 4 or more mana, you'll gain bonuses in battle. So cool. We saw that in like what, Strixhaven was like big spell.
Was the Yeah, but that was that Is It, or was that Simic?
It was
Or
Is
kind
It.
of both? Was Is It? Okay. Oh, sorry.
Simic had
Simic was ramp.
Simic was ramp that had make big
Yep.
like
Big tokens, those big
tokens,
fractals,
but those only cost like 4 or whatever. Is It was the one casting like 8 mana spells.
like Magma Opus. Yeah, that's
Yep.
right.
Golgari, this is the slow and steady wins the game. Mill to fill your graveyard early with powerful creatures and flashback spells. Bring them back to fight late in the game to achieve victory. Very, very specific. Golgari, not anything we're not expecting. Equipment aggro for Boros. Who would have thought?
Yeah, who'd ever have guessed that?
Yeah, we saw a couple of those earlier. Grab your favorite iconic weapon and rush into battle, it says. And finally, Simic, the one that everybody always forgets about, and they usually do very badly, except for standard cards. Travel the overworld. It's kind of grayed out here, I can't see. Yeah. Towns and lands that grant you more perks. So, town ramp?
So it's ramping to bigger creatures on the green side, and there's also town. That's where you're gonna see the cards that care about having towns. Mostly in Simic.
Yep. So pretty straightforward. I'm excited to check out all of these different archetypes, and we will get to them in the rest of the colors, which we're about to start right now. Real quick, just want to say, Demigod, thank you for that Prime sub. Final Fantasy IX is my favorite as well. If we finish the set review early today, I will be playing some 9. I'm about an hour and a half into a new playthrough. Knight of Bawa, thank you so much for the 5 subs. Chai, I'm going to call you Chai because I don't know how to say your name. Thank you so much for the first time sub. And Mark doesn't tweet. Thank you so much. If you guys do sub to the channel during the set reviews, I'll probably, shout you out a little bit in between colors. But if you guys do subscribe here on Twitch, you get access to a special supporter channel, which will give you access to community days and like battles, like, we're going to open up battle days and things like that. So make sure you guys link your Discord to your Twitch in Discord settings. It'll give you access to that special supporter tier for Decked Out, which again, we'll be posting, extra things in, and we'll be posting like Jackbox links and all sorts of cool stuff that you guys have access to for those of you guys who support the channel. All right, you ready for White Yanks?
Go for it.
All right, we're kicking us off with the best Final Fantasy IX with Albert Steiner, one of the knight characters from my favorite Final Fantasy. As you can see, boom, look at that subscriber button right there with the black waltz number 3. We have a 2-1 with lifelink, and it gets +1/+1 for each equipment you control. That seems fantastic.
It'd be pretty good, especially in a set where you don't get punished as hard for having too many equipment and not enough creatures, because some of them are creatures.
Yep. And also, like, it's a 2-1 with a key word for 2. Like, it's a little understated, but the fact that it gets better as you go, even if you are not straight up Boros, I feel like you'll probably have 1 or 2 equipments, even if you're like Azorius, because Orzhov specifically said artifacts, right?
For sure. And it was even in the little their little description of it, it mentioned like use artifacts that equipment that create tokens to help get extra things to sacrifice. So
Yep. So there'll be a lot of stuff. I think this will probably be able to sit in multiple decks and play very well, even if you're not in Boros. But in Boros, it's just going to be a home run. Great curve filler.
I think so. He does look like he belongs in the Shrek movies.
He does. He's kind of a dopey character, but I do love Steiner.
Definitely.
He pairs up with Vivi for some black magic. He'll have Vivi like enchant his sword in combat, so he can do some really cool magic attacks as well, which is neat.
Nice.
Next up, we have Aerith, 3 mana for
What
a
are
2.
we rating that?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I think it's like a 6.
I think so as well.
That's the whole point of the show, right?
A little bit.
I just want to talk about Final Fantasy IX, okay? Aerith, this is the character I cosplayed as for our early access decked out episode that just came out. She's a 2/2 with lifelink for 3, and whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter onto her. Yeah, I love lifelink in limited, or life gain decks in limited. When she dies, put X +1/+1 counters on each legendary creature you control, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Aerith. I think this is going to be fantastic.
This is definitely a set, even by modern standards, that looks to have more legendary creatures than usual. Which makes
Yes.
sense when you're pulling from 15, 16 games, you're gonna have a lot of named characters, and those named characters are gonna be legends.
And like this is a commander set design thing too, because people want to play all of their different characters. Like I've counted, there's 11 Final Fantasy IX legendary creatures, and I will be making a deck on for the show for every single one of them. So yeah.
There's 11 Final Fantasy IX commanders. There's only 25 Final Fantasy IX cards, so almost half of them are legends.
Yes. And that doesn't even include the ones that are specifically not even in the precons and stuff, because those aren't in the main set. So there's probably even more 9 characters or just characters in general, right? That don't exist.
Definitely.
Although I think 9 didn't get a precon, so there's probably less 9s. But I bet you there's a lot more 10 characters that I could make that are in the precon deck, not as the face commander.
Oh yeah, like the secondary ones that are in there. Or
I think this card is excellent. I am going to say that you need life gain to go with it, but she has lifelink herself, so she self-enables, and the first card had lifelink too, so I think this is going to be very, very good. I am going to say it's an 8.
I like it as an 8. It's interesting that we've seen 2 cards. They both have lifelink. Admittedly, this is a rare, but life gain was not a theme in any of our archetypes. So I'm curious if they just happen to be concentrated early in white, or if we see a whole lot of this.
Yeah. If you guys want to see me dressed as Aerith, go check out the decked out episode. It's sweet. We're going to post another one with the upgraded decks on Monday as well. Aerith Rescue Mission. 4 mana for a sorcery. Choose 1. Take the elevator. Get 3 1/1 colorless hero creature tokens. Or take 59 flights of stairs. Tap. Sorry, I don't know why, but I find these very funny. The flavor abilities.
I feel like if you choose to take 59 flights of stairs, that should have to be something negative for you for making that dumb of a decision when there's a perfectly good elevator.
What if there's a fire? You don't know.
Oh.
What's the situation? Tap up to 3 target creatures, put a stun counter on each of them. Okay, I mean, it's flexible, but I don't think it's super good unless I see a good reason to have the hero tokens. There's a sacrifice theme, there's like a go wide theme. So, I mean, it'll be useful, but I'm going to say that this is like fine. I would say this is like a 6. It probably makes the cut, but like it's not something if I don't have, I'm upset about.
It feels very replaceable to me. Like I think I've got it at like a 5.5.
Sometimes these things like sneak up on you. Like sometimes they really the go wide, like what was it, the samurai one? Do you remember when it made like 3 or 4 samurais?
Yeah.
That one was just like insane. I think there was a soldier one as well that just it played way better in that set than anyone expected.
I will say the fact that in an aggressive deck, it can still be useful after the 3/1/1s don't matter anymore by potentially letting you get through by tapping 3 things down is nice.
Yeah, it's just like a good flexible card for like Boros, right? Make the dudes, and then if you don't need them, if you're late in the game, win.
Definitely.
Ambrosia Whiteheart, 2 mana for a 2/2 with flash. When it enters, you may return another permanent you control to its owner's hand, and it has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. 2 mana, 2/2 with flash. I'm already in, and it protects your other cards, which is cool. And it does say permanent, so you can re-trigger. Like maybe you could even cast your adventure lands again.
You can recast those. You can recast your job select equipment to get another token out of them.
Yep. Or you could even just bounce a land so that way you can give it another pump next turn, right?
For sure.
It just basically you flash in on their end step, and then the next they're not expecting it, and it attacks as a 3 powered life like flasher. So that's pretty sweet. I would say this is like a 6.
I like it as a 6, although I want to dock all these cards points for being birds that don't fly.
Chocobos don't fly. You're gonna have to get used to that. It's gonna be a really long set review.
They should have just created a type that was Chocobo then, because birds should fly.
But birds,
magic.
But we needed love for the bird set. I actually played a bird tribal Chocobo deck.
Was it titled "Bird is the Word"?
No.
Oh,
but I think I said it a bunch in the episode.
Oh, good.
It made me really mad because in the game I drew from. There's a little spoilers. The episode's not out yet, but I drew the bird from Bloomborough that says when a creature with flying dies, you can return a creature with lower CMC.
Okay.
And then I only drew the Chocobo birds, and none of them flew.
So, yep, that's good. Just gotta. I was about to say either they don't fly or you can't get in because they're all just stuck on the ground, and you just even more annoyed.
But yeah, I like the card. So next up we have Ash, Princess of Dalmasca. I didn't play 12.
Nope.
I played like an hour of 12, but that's it. A 3/2 for 3. Whenever she attacks, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom. So very Orzhov, very Boros. Seems great.
I think so. Your 3 mana 3/2 attacking on 4 probably can get. You should be able to get. Even you get a trigger on the attack. It'd be a little. You might end up trading down at that point. But if you got a card out of it, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of like a fine rate. Like a lot of like 2/3s for 3 make a lot of sense, and a lot of 3/3s for 3. So like the trading down is not a huge problem. It could, but I think if you are looking 5 deep in most of the decks that care about this card, you're pretty happy.
Wish I could do that math in my head quickly enough to figure out how many artifacts you need to reliably hit. But
yeah, let us know in the comments of the YouTube video. But rating wise, I think it's just a fine card. I think most decks probably don't care. Well, I would say like 50% of decks don't care. So I'm just gonna say it's a 5. You'll know when you want to cut it, and you'll know when you don't.
I think a 5 makes sense.
All right, moving on. Aura's Inspiration. Orin's Inspiration. That's what it says. 3 mana. Attacking creatures get +2/+0 until end of turn, and this has flashback, and it's instant. So a Final Fantasy X card, which is pretty cool.
It's just white trumpet blast with flashback.
Yeah, I don't know why Orin's inspiring them. Like he's all right.
He's giving an inspiring speech.
He mostly just bullies Titus and calls him a bitch.
Maybe that toughened him up and inspired him.
Yeah. I'm so glad that none of the 10 cards are X2 because X2 is awful. Rating wise, it's okay. We typically see the white version of this for 4 mana. So I like that it's coming down a little bit. And the fact that it has flashback is just nice. So you can like maybe make some good trade ups. You can and then save it and just win the game with it. It's something your opponent's going to always have to play around. And 3 mana is not too bad, I think, for this, especially with the amount of tokens we're already seeing.
No, I think the white versions that are 4 mana usually have some toughness too, right? It's usually like +2/+1.
Yeah. Or +1/+1, or yeah, for sure. I think I like this better.
I think so too. That being said, I still don't like it.
Yeah, you have 2 creatures in your decks.
Exactly. I'm only getting +4/+0 out of this.
I feel like more decks than not for white are going to care about this. I think you're going to want to run one of these. I don't think you have to have one, but I don't think you're cutting the first one super often in most of the white themes that we're seeing. So I'm going to go on a limb and say that this is like a 5. And then obviously some decks are just going to super duper want this.
All right, that's actually about where I was going to put it anyway. You're going to cut it 5 to me. You're going to cut it a lot of the time, but not always.
Yep. I think you're less... Well, Hammy's angry. You're going to cut it a lot less in white, just in general, I think.
Sure. I can see that.
One of our early new mechanic cards, the battle menu. So this is 2 mana for... You get to choose one. Create a 2/2 knight for 2, which is fine. Target creature gets O+0/+4. Fine. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater, or you gain 4 life. And we already did see like a life gain trigger card. So this is incredibly flexible. 2 mana, instant speed, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. I'm already putting this in my deck. And the fact that I can turn it into a 2-drop, I can turn it into a combat trick, I can turn it into life gain triggers.
It was not that long ago we were perfectly content with Smite the Monsters for 4 mana, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater.
Yep. And this is
now
just...
it's 2 mana and you get 3 other options.
Yes. So I don't think I'm cutting I'm never cutting the first one of this. And then I think... I'm likely
never cutting this second one of this because
it depends. Like some sets have had an abundance of removal that are very good, and I have started cutting the second one of this type of ability. The flexibility is nice, but like the other ones aren't super important. But I would still say it's like a 7.
I think most white decks are probably pretty content with having a few instant speed 2/2s for 2 mana. So I'm happy to get the 4 or greater, it's just kind of free on that.
I think so too.
So yeah, I like it as a 7 too.
I'm not as convinced that we will want that many of them, just because I feel like card quality has gone up so much that it is just hard to make cuts, that everything is kind of this good.
It could be.
But we'll see. I'm certainly never cutting the first one, and we both like it at the 7, so... Cloud Midgar Mercenary, 2 mana for a 2/1. When it enters, search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. As long as Cloud is equipped, if an ability of Cloud's or an equipment attached to it triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Cool. It does what you want.
Yeah, I played Final Fantasy VII a very long time ago and didn't remember much about it, but would have bet any amount of money that Cloud's card would have been equipment just because of that giant sword he always has.
Yeah. Yeah, I also would have thought that it would have been equipment. It's very iconic, so having him have a sword is really important. And also, like the One Ring, I feel like Cloud's sword is going to be one of the most iconic items of the set.
I could see that.
So, like, it just makes sense for if you're making a sword for it to, for Cloud to care about his sword, which would be an equipment. So I think it's good. It's exactly what Boros is trying to do. It's probably exactly what Orzhov wants to do. It's doing it on 2 mana and giving your equipment some extra value and boost. I think this is excellent. There's certainly going to be a white deck that doesn't care about this, like maybe your Selesnya deck or something. But we don't really need to talk about that, right?
Yeah, there will definitely be decks that just don't have equipment.
Yeah, and you'll know that, and you can just cut it, and then this is not really that. But in the general deck where you have some equipments and care, Mythics, you have to grade that way. Because if you said that a really powerful, black card that deals with having a specific land in your deck, just you cast it, you just win the game. Most decks don't have that land, but you can't really rate it on that. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think it's, in this case here, there's definitely a gradient, right? Because,
Yeah.
you
Co-
know,
commons and uncommons you grade more on a like all deck average because but the mythics that deal with a very specific unique thing, I think you just say whether that's good or not. So I'm just going to say that this is exactly what this deck is trying to do. It's going to get your best equipment out of your deck, and some of these equipments are super powerful. I like it at an 8.
so I'm much, much further down on this. Just because it's not only that you have to have equipment, you have to have equipment that it's worthwhile, because otherwise it's just a bad tutor. Um,
It puts it
if
in
you
your
do, then,
hand.
yeah.
I don't know. My 2-drop getting me even a sucky equipment at the low end is still pretty good for me, and then doubling whatever the ability is on that still feels solid.
I'm
Certainly not an
certainly
8,
not,
but
yeah, it's not unplayable by any means. I just think I have it like a 6.5.
I think at my low end, like if it performs awful, I still think it's like a 7. So I put it kind of in the middle. Whereas I think in the like hardcore equipment deck, when it's getting you the mythic sword in the set, then it's a 9. So I like it in the middle at an 8. Cloudbound Moogle, 5 mana for a 2/3 flying. When this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter onto target creature with plane cycling. Those are always good. This is like a 7.
Yeah, this card is pretty terrible if it doesn't have plane cycling. In modern day, 5 mana for a 3/4 flyer seems overcosted.
Yeah, I think that there's
But
going to be some synergy with moving the counters around and putting them on specific creatures, which is cool. We saw Aerith, like, when she dies, she transfers the counters. And I don't think that's going to be the first time we're going to see that or the last time we see that.
true, and just like as a general deck building note for everybody, if you put plane cycling in your deck, have more than one planes in it.
Yeah, I think you should definitely consider that, Yanks. So a little inside story to the inside joke here is we were at an event and it was like a casual event. I was running a booth, a creator booth, and people can come up and challenge us to sealeds. And so in the morning, I was getting the booth ready, and I asked Yanks to build me a sealed pool for me to use for the day, for people to come up and challenge me. And I had a planes on the battlefield, and I wanted more land, so I went to plane cycle a card, but there was no more planes in the deck.
It was a
So
very light white splash. You had two sources, the planes and the plane cycler.
and I just wanted a 5th land is what I wanted, even though I already had my planes, so I didn't care about casting the stupid thing. And yeah, so that's the inside joke is Yanks killed me against a viewer. All right, next up, a 2/2 for 2. You can pay 2, tap target non-enchantment creature. That's interesting. I wonder why it's non-enchantment specifically, but
I would imagine because it doesn't want you to be able to lock down the sagas until they die.
ah, that makes sense. I was wondering because I've never played 15, so I was like, oh, I wonder if this is like if it dies to like a magical enchantment or something.
Well, I mean, yeah, there could be a flavor reason too, but that's the gameplay reason I would think is because it can just kill a saga in like 2 turns.
Yeah, you just lock it down and then say ha. Okay, fair enough. Rating wise, I think that's fine. It's a 2/2 for 2 that does a thing, so probably not getting cut. I don't care about the ability that much, so just a 5 for me.
It's probably a 5. 2 mana to tap something isn't too bad. I mean, we don't get 1 mana tappers very much anymore, so
Yeah. Crystal Fragments, 1 mana for a equipment, +1/+1, and it has an equip of only 1, which is nice. Shout out to 9, my favorite. For 7, you can exile it and return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control as a sorcery. And then it turns into a creature summon. Summon Alexander. First chapter is prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to creatures you control this turn. Do that twice. Tap all creatures your opponents control, and then it dies. And it's a 4/3 with flyer. So, the saga creatures throw me off. I love that they are very flavorful, but like it is a little weird. But I do okay, so this is one that does not exile.
it does.
Oh, it does. Exile this equipment. Yeah. I was looking at later in the text box looking for it, but didn't see it. So it can't attack the turn it comes onto the battlefield at chapter 1. So you only get to attack with this once.
Yes.
Ugh.
Which is true for most of the sagas.
Hmm.
I think there are some that have 4 chapters.
Ugh. I don't like that. It's fine
This
though. You flip it and then you get to attack. So it does something the turn it comes into the battlefield, and then the next turn you get to attack with it, and then it does some stuff, and then they can't attack you because you can block. So like it lines up fine. It's just an okay equipment, and I'm not in love with the backside, so I'm probably not cutting this. I feel like a lot of the white decks will want this: Orzhov, Azorius, Boros.
It
So
seems like there's enough that just want equipment in general, and this one's a perfectly fine rate.
yeah, and then you can flip it
With
and do the thing when you, if and when you decide to. So I'm just gonna say it's like a 5. I don't know
there's
how
gonna
to
be a,
evaluate the backside of this at
it's
all.
tough. It's tough. I think I'd probably say like 5.5 because especially with even just the front side with what seems like enough things wanting equipment, having a cheap one that you can move around is probably worth it.
Yeah, there's lots of cards that say if it's equipped, maybe do a thing. So we'll see how relevant it is. It's an uncommon, so I'm inclined to believe it'll play better than I feel like it will. I don't know what to think of this backside.
Yeah,
I don't know how impactful this is going to be.
no, that's the trick with every time you see something completely new like that.
Yeah, flip it, hit you for 4, it dies. I no longer have an equipment. Like obviously the upside is way higher. Like if they have to start chumping and stuff to even though you have prevented damage, but eh,
Now,
I
I
don't know
guess
what to think
white,
of it.
like we said earlier, white's probably going to have a decent number of creatures on the board.
Yeah.
So
Next up, the Crystal's Chosen, 7 mana, create 4 1/1 colorless hero creature tokens, then put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That seems good. 7 mana, make 4 2/2s plus all the other counters. It's a little expensive, but I think it'll be a little bit of a slower format.
I think so. We don't see a ton of 7 mana spells in white unless they're like kind of weird board sweepers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious how this plays. If it is a slower format, this will be game breaking, essentially.
Yeah. And it looks like there's going to be, Selesnya says it has a ton of like bonuses for going wide. So hopefully this is going to see some play. I feel like you'll know which decks you want this in and which decks you won't. So the rating, it's a little bit of a split rating. Lots of decks are just like not interested in this at all. But I think a good chunk of the white ones will probably be pretty happy because you have the Sacrifice in Orzhov, the Go Wide in Selesnya, and having 4 bodies to put equipments on and just one at a time running them into like a trade up seems good too for Boros. So
Yeah, the key question is probably is it too slow for Boros?
it's not, is it? It's Boros.
Hello.
Yeah, I don't know.
Me neither. That's what we'll have to find out. But yeah, Selesnya seems like the perfect home. I think you're right on Orzhov. I
Yep.
can see some play there. Orzhov usually wants to play grindier games anyway.
Yep. So rating wise, I think it's probably fine. I'm gonna say it's like a 6.
It's a 6 with the caveat that you get with a lot of expensive spells that you really only want one of them.
Agreed. Quick shout out, Old Napkin Eye, Squeeman, and Striker. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate those subs, the support for me and for the decked out team. Thank you, guys. Delivery Moogle. 4 mana for a 3/2 flyer. When this creature enters, search your library or graveyard for an artifact card with mana value 2 or less. Reveal it. Put it into your hand. Then search your library. Then shuffle your library if you searched. So this brings back the shitty equipment.
Yes.
So you can flip it, attack them, it dies, and then you bring it back with the little delivery Moogle. So that's kind of neat.
Agreed. I mean, it's a 4 mana 3/2 flyer that draws a card, basically.
A new letter has arrived just for you, Kupo. I'm going to be reading 9 dialogue later, so I'm just getting into the spirit. Yeah,
So Moogle's in
rate seems
all
good.
the Were Moogles in all the Final Fantasy games, or?
I haven't played them all, so I couldn't say, but
Oh,
it's a running thing, so I would assume so.
okay.
I don't think they were in the some of the earlier ones.
Okay, so maybe just a more recent.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I only really specialize in like 3 Final Fantasies. Rating wise, I think this card's good. It seems, even if you don't have a ton of artifact synergy, like a 3/2 flyer for 4 is like a little low statted at this point. The Windrake and
Yeah.
the vanilla 3 mana, 4 mana 3/2 was a thing for a while, but I think there's going to be enough artifacts that you will get some fringe value out of this, even if you're not in
Azorius.
Azorius. Yeah, especially because I think Orzhov and Boros are going to have a ton of these sort of equipments that want to be sacrificed very early. So I think this card's fine. I'm going to say it's like a 5.5. And then it'll play up in some decks.
I was going to say 5.5, and then yeah, there's like a lot of these cards. There are definitely decks that do not want this, but you'll know it.
And even if you don't have it, I still feel like this is filler. Like it'll still make the cut some of the time, and you're like, oh, I've got like 2 things this could hypothetically hit. Not really worth running it, but like it's still just like a solid dude.
Sure.
And that's where I kind of give it that 5. And then you're gonna have some kick-ass decks where you're happy to run 3 or 4 of these. Dion Bahamut's 4 mana for a 3/3 with Dragonfire Dive. During your turn, Dion and other knights you control have flying. Okay. The tokens are heroes, they're not knights, important to note. When it enters, create a 2/2 knight creature token, and you can pay 6, exile it, and return it to the battlefield transformed, and it turns into a saga where you summon Bahamut. It is a 5/5 flyer. Put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Those creatures gain flying until end of turn for 2 turns. And then destroy target permanent, exile Bahamut, then return it to the battlefield on the front side. What?
Yeah, this card's stupid.
I mean, you probably just flip it and kill them. You just
and
leap.
Somehow you don't. You get to do it again the next turn.
You just baby leap your whole team. If this died at the end of the 3rd chapter, whatever, I would still think this was busted.
Agreed. Because it's, what? She said the baby leap twice, a 5/5.
And then a removal spell. It's a 3/3.
5/5. Yeah, 5/5 flyer for a turn plus a removal spell.
It's just 5 mana worth of stats on ETB for 4 mana. 5 power, right? It makes a 2/2 plus a 3/3.
Yep, and then when it exiles and comes back, it makes another 2/2.
Well, I'm assuming, like, I'm saying you might not get that far.
yeah, they should be dead already.
This thing either they're dead or this is dead. Like, this is kill on sight. This is a 9.
I agree.
Yeah, the only reason it's not a 10 is because it does just get lightning bolted and dies. And it doesn't it impacts the board a little bit. If it didn't make that 2/2, I would say it's like an 8.5, but you get a 2/2 out of it if they have a lightning bolt.
Definitely, yeah. It's a
This is game-winning bomb for sure.
Game-winning and potential card advantage waiting to happen.
Yeah, holy shit. Okay, highest rated card so far. Dragoon Lance, 2 mana for a job select. When this equipment enters, create a hero, and equipped creature gets +1/+0 and is a knight in addition to its other types. During your turn, equipped creature has flying. Okay, that's kind of nuts.
It is a 4 mana equip cost.
Yeah, but 2 mana make a 1/1. +1/+0 and flying, and we just saw knight synergy, so I'm assuming that's going to be relevant.
So you get for 2 mana, you get a 2/1 that flies on your turn with some type synergies. And 4 mana to move the +1/+0 and half flying around.
The fact that it's 2 mana for a 2/1 flyer, I think this is already busted. I don't care if what the equip cost is after that. I think those sorts of, we learned that from the last set where we saw those. Was it Keldheim? Where they made a dude. Like these are so good. This is going to be very good. I'm going to say
I
this
think
is
so.
like a 7, but I think this is going to win games.
I think it can. I guess white maybe is aggressive enough. I'm a little. I think the not having flying on defense is pretty relevant.
I mean, the equipment deck is Boros, so if you're defensing, you're probably not winning anyway. At that point, like you the window is closed.
Yeah, I think I have this at like a 6 point, like either I guess a 6.5, so not far off.
I hear you hedging your bets.
Because I almost wanted to say 6 because
I know, that's why I'm saying I heard you
not,
hedging your bets
I'm,
up.
I hate equip 4 so much.
It doesn't matter. It comes into play with a creature. The rest
I
is
know, but I
you.
wouldn't give a 2 mana 2/1 flyer any higher than a 6.
If it also gave future things flying and +1/+0,
That's the point 5.
I feel like we should have learned our lessons from Kaldheim. Dwarven Castle Guard, 2 mana for a 2/1. When this creature dies, create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token. That's fine. This is like a 5? It's a dwarf soldier, probably not relevant. Just like a little
No,
replaceable body, good for like the artifact sacrifice situation.
good for sacrifice if we see something that cares, some stuff that cares about heroes, which we haven't yet. Then maybe that can contribute there as well. But I think you're right. I think it's like a 5.
2
Very
bodies for the price of
replaceable.
1, which is nice. It trades fine. That's okay. All right. Fate of the Sun, 5 mana for an instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast. If it targets a tapped creature, destroy target non-land permanent. So if it's an attacking creature, it costs 3. That's
Well,
pretty good.
tapped, not just attacking.
I know, but I meant like you're in the situation you can use this in. Ideally, you more often than not you want to kill it when it's attacking you, not after it's hit you.
Sure, I'm just thinking the case like where you draw it the next turn.
Yeah,
You still get the
certainly.
discount.
Certainly. Yeah, I think this is excellent. This is white's good removal, and it's a permanent, which is going to be really good with like all the equipments, all of the. Yeah, I think this is very good.
Agreed. This
White's
is
premium removal for sure at common, nonetheless. So I'm going to say this
I'm sure.
is a solid 7.
I think it's a 7.
Removal's not as good as it used to be. Like in general.
I keep thinking the commons are uncommons
Oh, because
because it's
the
white
picture.
instead of black.
From Father to Son, 2 mana, search your library for a vehicle card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. If the spell was cast from a graveyard, put that card onto the battlefield instead. Flashback cost a lot. 7. I mean, I don't know how many vehicles we're going to care about, but I'm going to say this is more of a constructed card would be my guess.
Unless I'm getting like Parhelion or Sky Sovereign or something crazy like that, I don't really want this card. So yeah, I think it's just a
Constructed card.
or very very specific deck if we see some sort of
Yeah.
busted
So
mythic vehicles.
I'm going to go on a limb and say this is a 1.
Agreed.
It did say that there was like sort of a vehicle one. Which one was it? Artifacts? Was it Azorius?
There's some. Yeah, blue has 3, no, 4 vehicles.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a whole set for us to care about that card.
No, there's a total of looks like 10 vehicles in the set.
All right, next up.
A lot of which are rare.
Next up is I'm not going to try to say that name.
I was going to say I have no idea how to pronounce that.
A 5 mana 3/5 with reach. Whenever one or more other creatures or artifacts you control die, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. So this is just screaming Orzhov artifact creature sacrifice theme, which is like that's the archetype. So but it also just, whenever one or more creatures die, you draw. So it's just good in anything, and then it's just in Orzhov you can make that happen. This card seems great.
Nice on it in Orzhov is you can, like, a lot of times you can find a way to kind of cause it to happen on your turn by attacking and forcing blocks and stuff like that. But you can now a lot of times make it happen on their turn as well
Yeah,
and get
I think in
get another trigger.
Orzhov specifically, it's going to be a 7, but in general, I think it's just a 6.
I think so. 3/5 reach is a nice body to have, but it doesn't really outside of Orzhov fit the kind of aggressive theme we've seen from White.
Galacat, 3 mana for a 1/3 flying vigilance. As long as you control 2 or more artifacts, this creature gets +2/+0. So this is very Orzhov, Azorius. Yeah, I think a
Yep.
bunch of Boros has equipments. This everything wants this.
It's that scary looking cat.
It's just Selesnya that doesn't focus literally on artifacts.
Yeah.
And then it turns into a vigilant 3/3 flyer. I mean, it's still not nuts, right?
No, it still requires some work to get a somewhat above rate.
But it's a 1/3 with vigilance already, so I like that. I'm going to say it's a 6.
6 is fine.
Tokens count as artifacts. I don't believe the human creatures
Humans
are artifact.
they're colorless, but they're not artifacts.
Correct. Yeah, I only reason I know that is because I'm looking at it. Next up, we have a 5 mana equipment. The Mechanist's Arsenal has job select, so it makes a human and equips it. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 for each artifact you control, and is an artificer in addition to its other types. Has equip 4, so it automatically is a 3/3, and then just is bigger. And I think there's plenty of times it will be much, 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 much bigger. If your deck has no other artifacts, it's not good. Right? So Selesnya doesn't want this. But I think Boros, Orzhov, and Azorius wants this.
Sounds right. I don't remember seeing much in the way of artificers. Like it says it is an artificer.
Yeah, I don't know that I care. Like, I'm assuming that means nothing.
Yeah, it could just be flavor. I feel like there's something to do with it somewhere in the set, but it definitely wasn't common. Or maybe it's tied in through the commander set somewhere like that.
Yeah. It's probably the commander set or something. I think that I'm just fine with this being that being a non-line of text for limited. And
Sure.
maybe the best case scenario is that it's just better than we think because there is something more. And that's fine.
Sure.
Rating wise, the average deck, I think it's not going to be worth playing. But I think there are going to be a lot of decks that you're very happy to have this. So I'm going to say that this is a bit of a split. You have to judge it based on your deck. It's like a 2 or a 7.
Well, I mean, I generally would agree, but we've spent a lot of time talking about how everything cares about artifacts.
Yeah, 3 out of the 4
one,
archetypes do.
and you really only need one other artifact for this to be at rate.
Yeah.
Right.
But we've also seen some of the equipment just blow themselves up.
Well, that's true. We have seen that.
And I'm hesitant to give it too much credit until we see if the actual artifact category is worth anything. Because a lot of times there's just like almost no playables in artifacts.
That's true. We've seen, let me scan quickly through White. How many have we seen? 1 so far, 2. This is only the third, although the next 2 cards are also artifacts, so.
And that's just like, it's a rare. So it's like, it makes sense to me that there's going to be some decks that are not going to want it, but then also the decks that do, I feel like the power level is much higher. So I don't want to just say, oh, this is an 8, knowing that like a good chunk of decks will not be interested.
I wouldn't, they definitely wouldn't go that high. It sounded like 2 seemed like a pretty low floor for this card.
Yeah, I mean, if I've got 2 other artifacts in the deck, I don't know that I'm running it. I'm not running it. How many artifacts do I need to run this card? I think the answer is like, I have something sharp in my eyeball that's stabbing me.
That's not a number.
I think the answer is like at least 5 or 6 total. Like, I would say
Okay.
5 others, so 6 artifacts. And then I'm like, fine with this card, not in love with it.
Like I said, we have not seen anything that makes artifact tokens yet. It's like if we saw stuff with treasure or food or maps or something like that, that might
That's
be a little
true. Yeah,
different.
if you've got some of that, that would be pretty interesting for sure.
Yeah. I think I'm a little bit higher on the floor than you, but I'm right there in that like.
Oh my god, hang on.
You,
It's Nerd Mom.
uh, well, it's on the phone. I'll just say I'm kind of similar on the floor to on the ceiling. That it's probably like a 7. You'll know when you want this card, but if it's a like the floor, maybe 2 is fair because you just won't play it. You'll know that you don't want it in your deck, and you won't even draft it, or you'll leave it in your sideboard and sealed. So I guess that's probably fair. I think more decks than not are going to want this card, and it'll be decent, but it's probably in that range.
Hey, I have to go AFK for a second.
Okay.
130, 124. I'll edit this out. Nerd Mom got pulled over and needs proof of insurance. She can't find it.
Okay.
Oops, be right back.
Yep.
Sorry about that. She called me back. Apparently he gave her a warning.
Oh, okay.
She was probably like, "Oh, I'll get my daughter to send me a message." And I bet you he was just like, "I don't fucking care, want to wait." So he just like left. I bet you if she had the insurance, she probably would have gotten a ticket. She didn't say what she got pulled over
Probably.
for, but she said she's on her way to work and she said they pulled me over right in front of the store. So oops. She didn't get a ticket. Yay! Celebrate! All right, Magitech Armor, 4 mana for a 4/4. When this vehicle enters, create a 1/1 colorless human creature token and crew 1. So they're vehicles don't punish you for being vehicles anymore. Like, not having creatures was the problem with having too many vehicles and equipments, but like they just make their own creatures now. So it doesn't matter.
Usually, I mean, I guess the catch here is a lot of times the vehicles were overpowered for their mana cost. So I guess 4 for 4 is kind of not. So they give you the creature back. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with why it's not just crazy power creep.
I think you're right. I still think that this is power creep, but if the vehicles were as powerful as they were and gave you a creature that crewed them, then it would be insane, right? So I think this is the happy middle ground. Like, they're turning the knobs back and forth to sort of play with that balance and make it not so crazy. So I think that's fine. And vehicles are pretty cool. Artifacts are pretty cool. Some of the archetypes want those. I think this is fine. I'm just gonna say it's like a 6.
Agreed.
Someone says without the 1/1, this would be a 5/5. Yeah. Vehicles usually were like massively overstated for the CMC, and they had like a crew cost associated. So I don't know. That's interesting.
No, the one I can't get out of my head is back from, was it Kaldash's Renegade Freighter?
Yeah.
A common that kind of dominated limiteds. It was 3 mana 4/3, but it became a 5/4 when it attacked. And that with trample, and that didn't give you anything to crew it, and it had crew too.
Magitech Infirmary, 1 mana for a
Wait,
1/1.
okay, it's not infirmary.
Oh, infantry.
They're not going to the doctors.
Words are hard, okay? Magitech Infantry. I swear I can read. My brain just does that thing where it looks at the first one and the last
First couple
one,
and last.
and then it like fills in the middle, and then like sometimes it's right and sometimes it's very not. 1 mana for a 1/1. This creature gets +1/+0 as long as you control another artifact. Okay, so it's a 2/1 for 1 more often than not. Search your library for a card named Magitech Infirmary and put it onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle. Oh, okay, so it's another hawk. What was the hawk we just had? There was
Tempest
definitely,
Hawk.
yeah, something like that. Interesting. These are not usually worth it in limited, but it is a 1 mana 2/1 in a lot of decks in the format. So I think it's going to be playable, but I don't know if I care about swarming them out. There's going to be a fun deck that can, but more often than not, they're sort of a pipe dream. So I'm just going to say this is a 5.
I
I
think
think
so. This is unlike some of the other versions where you cared about having several of them. You only want this if you want the 2/1.
Yeah. So there will be a deck that wants all of them, which is going to be fun. But I think on its own, like we've seen so much artifact synergy, this being a one drop artifact is going to boost your other artifacts, and I think that's
True.
pretty relevant. So yeah, what do you like it as?
5 as well.
And I think that if you're in a heavy artifact, like especially a Boros deck, you're going to be much happier, and this could play up to a 6. Yeah. Minwu White Mage. Sorry, I'm saying it wrong. 5 mana for a 3/3 with Vigilance and Lifelink, and whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on each cleric you control specifically. Okay, so it's another lifelinker. It's interesting that all the creatures we've seen 2 so far that have had a life gain trigger also had lifelink, so your enablers are just kind of built in, which is nice. There was another 2-drop that had lifelink, so it's fine. How many triggers do you need for this to be relevant?
Well, I'm just scanning first, and I only see one other cleric, which was a rare
I was kind of just assuming that you were putting it on itself.
on itself.
So a 4/4 vigilant lifelinking creature is kind of fine. I don't think this is great. I think it's like,
I think you need other life gain triggers.
yeah.
Really, because it's going to be hard at 5 mana to get this through, like on turn 6 or later.
And we did see another 2-drop that had lifelink, and then we had a rare
True.
that had lifelink, but I haven't seen any like oh well, the battle mage tech had like randomly gain 4 life on it.
Gain 4 life, yeah.
But if I'm gaining 4 life to put a counter on this, I don't like it. So I need something more than that. I need something that incidentally does it in addition. Like, I think Tarkir had a bunch of random stuff where it was like, show a dragon in your hand and get 2 life. And that was nice. If we start seeing that, I'll like it. But as long as we're not, I don't think I'm playing this in most decks. I would say this is like a 4. Filler
Agreed.
if you can't find playables. And then other than that, cut it.
Maybe because this is Final Fantasy II, they're doing the cards like Power Creep and Magic. So this is back from like a 10 years ago card where that card would be great.
Moogle's Valor. 5 mana for an instant. For each creature you control, create a 1/2 white Moogle creature token with lifelink. Ah, found some lifelink. When this creature, when creatures you control gain indestructible till end of turn. Cute. If you can attack with if you make a bunch of Moogles and then play the last card pre-combat, attack with all those Moogles, or each different instances of life gain, and you'll get more +1/+1 counters. If you swing with 5 Moogles, you get 5 counters on this.
Yeah, so they don't have haste.
No. But I'm saying you play the Moogles the one turn,
Oh,
and then
I
the
see,
next
yeah,
turn you play this pre-combat.
Yes.
And then you just get 5 counters on him. So like if there's a oodles of Moogles, oodle of Moogle, then that's a neat way. Also, I know there's some sagas, at least in the commander's decks, that make Moogles as well. So maybe that's what this is for. It's a Moogle synergy card. This white mage cares about Moogles.
Yeah,
That said, this is also a rare, so I don't think it counts.
No. And I don't love the fact that we're only in white and we've already seen 3 different types of creature tokens. that feels like there's going to be a flood of different things in this set.
Yeah. Hopefully Cats and Cantrip sends us some good stuff. I think this is fine. It's 5 mana to make like 3 to 4 Moogles. I think I'm in for that. I'm going to say this is like a 6. Some decks will just not have enough creatures, and some decks will have a lot, so it'll play like a 5 or a 7 depending on your creature count. But I think I'm probably playing it in most white decks.
I probably am too. It feels like it's a card that's so bad when you're behind.
Agreed. Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. Paladin's Arms. 3 mana for a equipment with job select, makes its own 1/1. Equipped creatures get +1/+0 and have ward 1, and is a knight in addition to its other types, and has equipped 4, which most of them do. I think this is still fine. Job select, 3 mana for a 3/2, which is on rate. It's a knight, which I think will be relevant. We saw 1 card already that cared, and multiple cards that have changed things to knights. So
Ward 1 is not nothing.
Yeah, 6.
I like it as a 6 as well.
All right, Phoenix down. Let's go. One
Hey,
mana.
Cardat, you know where it comes from. Yay.
Yeah. 1 mana. You can pay 2. You can tap, exile this artifact, choose 1. Return target creature with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, or exile target skeleton, spirit, or zombie. That's cute because if you throw a Phoenix
This is
down at
like
a zombie in the game, it takes a bunch of damage.
this is kind of perfectly designed flavor wise.
Yeah, this is very cool. That's a fun way, if you guys aren't Final Fantasy fans, in most of the games you can cheese like spirit, skeleton, zombies by throwing potions or Phoenix Downs at them. Another thing you can do too is have like your white mage heal them, and they'll actually take the inverse damage, which is neat. Rating wise, a lot of things care about like +2/+2 for each artifact you control, which is cool.
True.
There's also, I was gonna say, there's that idiot that returns a 2 CMC artifact, but this is an exile effect, so that doesn't count. The Moogle, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep, yep.
But this doesn't count. So, but I'm guessing there's going to be other things that will return, do some stuff, count some stuff. Maybe there's even, Orzhov specifically says sacrifice artifacts. So maybe a 1-drop artifact like Phoenix Down, sacrifice it to something else, use the Moogle to bring it back. And then you can use this, exile this to bring back the 4-drop Moogle that when it comes back, you bring back another artifact like the other stupid equipment that killed itself. And you've just made infinite looping
We
value.
found the loop.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really loop because this is exiled,
No,
but
but
it is a 6-step loop. So, yay. I think this is fine, and I love it for the flavor. So we're going to say this is a fudge sickles. I don't know. How many skeletons and zombies are there?
yeah, so I just looked through just black because that's where those things are mostly going to be, and there are 0 skeleton spirits or zombies in black.
Shit.
Maybe
Why
there's
do
some
you
in multicolor, but
why wizards? Why?
I guess there could be some blue spirits potentially too, but yeah, that seems to be flavor text basically. Unless, to be fair, what I did not look at is I did not look through. I just looked at the creature type lines about tokens. So it's possible black makes some skeletons or
Zombie tokens or something.
Yeah.
Whatever. Still fine. I don't know. This is like a 5. I'm gonna pretend that I'm gonna say even if it's incidental, I'm gonna pretend that last type line has some effect in the format.
Yeah, you've got between the artifact synergies of just 3 mana, get a 4-drop or less back. Get a 4-drop back. It's not terrible.
Yeah, you just get your best whatever is from the recent times. I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think 5 seems about right.
All right. Restoration Magic, 1 mana, and you get to either target permanent gains hexproof and indestructible till end of turn for 1, or for 2, it gains hexproof indestructible till end of turn. You gain 3 life. Okay. Incidental life gain. That makes White Mage guy better.
Yep.
Kiraga, 4 mana, permanents you control, all permanents. So for 5 mana, you get to make them all hexproof indestructible until end of turn. You gain 6 life. That's nice. This card's got kind of a blowout. I don't think I'm cutting this ever.
No, just the 1 mana combat trick. Hexproof Indestructible is pretty great on its own.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm not cutting this. I'm gonna say this is like, it's gonna be such a blowout in some combat situations for 5 mana.
True.
6.5.
That's where I like it as well.
All right, side quest: catch a fish. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's an artifact or creature card, you may reveal it, put it into your hand. Put it in your hand this way. Create a food token and transform this enchantment. If you put a card into your hand this way, every turn you get to keep doing it until you find an artifact or a creature, and then you've caught your fish. You get to make a food, and it turns into a land that says sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Huh.
And it transforms. It comes in untapped too, the land, which is nice.
That's very cool. And it makes the food for you to cook for your friends.
Exactly.
And it buffs them all. I think this is great. It's a little slow, so if the format's like all will be one, then we're fucked. But like if it's anything other than all will be one, I think this is really cool.
It is. I mean, it's a the downside, right, is that you don't love in aggressive decks, which white seems to be.
But
The three mana do nothing.
Orzhov is actual artifact sacrifice.
True,
And I think
but I guess
Azorius, like flyer artifacts, is also the other mechanic. I think those decks are going to love this card.
the Orzhov one, just because we haven't seen it yet. I'm curious to see if it's like what are all the artifact sacrifice benefits or payoffs. You have to sacrifice it to that, or do you get incidental bonuses if anything sacrifices an artifact?
I'm assuming there will be both because that's just
Yeah.
typically the way the sets are
Sure.
formatted. So I think this is going to be a cool outlet. And we already saw like the Moogle that brings back a cheap artifact, although the food counter here doesn't count. But I'm sure there will be other cheap artifacts we sack with this that the Moogle can get back. I like this card. I'm gonna say and it replaces itself. It's just gonna keep it until it draws you a card. It does nothing, so it's very slow.
Yeah, I'm picturing like playing against somebody who's aggressive, and then they play this on three. I'm like, oh, you good.
I don't.
Nothing I care about right now.
I don't think it needs to be aggressive. I think the Go Wide Selesnya decks, I think the Orzhov, the Azorius, I think all of those, it's just Boros. I think you're right about Boros.
I guess I always consider like the go wide decks to be fairly aggressive too. But
Selesnya are
not
usually a
not
little
but
taller. My
I
concern is that if the format is too fast to I think this is worth it if you can play something on turn between turn 4 and turn 6 and have it do nothing and not end the game immediately and get killed because of it. But if you can get past that, then I think the value here is very, very good. I'm going to say it's a 6. But it's a gamble because again, I don't know. Some formats,
true.
if you don't cast something on 4 and 5 and 6 that does something and affects the board, then you die.
Yeah, and that might be turns 3, 4, or 5 if you're on the draw.
Yeah. But if it's
Uh,
a longer format, and they have been getting a little bit better about having longer formats, then I think I think the payoff will be there.
I think I'm a little lower, but I'm not unplayable by any means. Like 5.5.
All right. Slash of Light, 2 mana. Slash of Light deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control, plus the number of equipment you control to target creature. Okay. 2 mana to deal just the number of creatures, like that's pretty normal. I would say this is like a 6.
Agreed. Pretty common. Well, just a little bonus in the set with the equipment.
Snow, I was going to say villagers, but that's not that word.
Villiers,
Yeah,
something like that.
Snow Villiers, 3 mana for a star 3 with vigilance. Its power is equal to the number of creatures you control. So it's automatically a 3 mana 1/3 with vigilance, which is not good enough. But a 3 mana 2/3 with vigilance is fine. So it's probably averages out to be just fine. So I'm going to say this is like a 5.
Agreed. Kind of unimpressive, but
Filler.
you'll play it.
Stiltskin Moogle Merchant. 1 mana for a 1/3 with lifelink. See? Moogles, they all have lifelink. 2 mana, tap, target opponent gains control of another target permanent you control. Then you draw a card. So this is like a constructed card if you can make like treasures or if you can like make bad things. Like what's the like black enchantments that kill
Demonic
you?
Pact.
Yeah. You just give them like demonic pact. Or you just give them like crappy treasures or food and then draw cards, which is nice.
Yeah, I suppose you could give them like I don't. We didn't have any. Did we? Didn't have any Oblivion Ring type cards. Because like once they're in the battlefield, you can let them have control of it all they want.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But
Or if you have
yeah,
bounce or flicker, could be really fun.
true. I guess it is instant speed. So yeah, I guess you could use it in response to their removal spell.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think this is going to be unplayable, but I don't think there's going to be as many cute things as you could do in constructed. So I'm
No,
just going to
for
say this
sure.
is like a 5.
I think
I
that
feel
sounds right.
I feel like I will play it in about half the decks I managed to like find the card.
I feel like I will play this card on Arena, and someone will immediately rage quit when I swap out my creature that they're targeting with removal.
Yep. And I mean, it's honestly not even that like big of a blowout either. It's just like they've effectively got a 1 for 0, right? Because you just replaced
Yep.
your card. The tempo is still not there because you have to like, recast it and stuff.
It's just more it's more irritating than actually that bad.
Yeah, for sure. And doing it repeatedly is really nice. So, all right. Next up, we have summon Choco Mog, 3 mana, and there's 4 chapters. It's a 3/3 for 3, and other creatures you control get +1/+0 till end of turn. So it's just like a mini trumpet blast over and over again, which is pretty cool. I think this is very
Yeah.
playable. It's an on rate, which just anthems your team for a while. I don't think we cut this super often.
We have to. I don't know if we have to like reconsider what on rate means for creatures that inevitably
Kill
die.
themselves.
Yeah.
That's a
So
good.
maybe that it's still on rate because you're getting this effect every turn that you normally wouldn't.
Yeah. And so you're trading up or getting in a ton of extra damage. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's like thinking back to like vanishing or fading
Yeah.
mechanics. So
I'm
because
sad
those
this should be a 9 art. I'm sad.
oh,
Uh there's a lot of curveballs in this new set, so like it's tough to evaluate some of the cards and how they will perform in the environment without actually getting your hands on it, right? I'm just gonna say this is probably a 6. I think this makes the cut.
I think so. We used to when I was talking with vanishing or fading, you used to like maybe you would have gotten like a 3 mana 4/4. Probably back then a 3 mana 3/3 was above rate. But
Yeah.
you wouldn't get the other abilities with it. Instead, we get the abilities. So I think
Yeah.
it's probably in that same vein.
Summon Knights of Round, 8 mana, and you get to make 4/2/2 knights over 2 turns. It's a 3/3 on its own.
No,
So,
wait, no. You get to make 3/2/2s 4 times.
oh,
You get to
yeah.
make 12 2/2s.
I didn't read the number, the word 3. I just looked at, I just saw 2/2 knight and I saw 4 times. So, okay, that's a lot more knights than I thought. So for 8 mana, it ETBs with 9 power
Yep.
across 3 bodies. And then other creatures you control get +2/+2 till end of turn. Put an indestructible counter on each of them. Okay, so if this ever pops off, which I imagine they can't attack you very aggressively in most decks when you've made 4 bodies.
And this one is indestructible, so it can just block at will.
Oh, it's indestructible at all times? Holy shit. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this wins the game and it's incredibly difficult to interact with. So is this a
Yeah,
10?
I feel like it is because you have to have an exile effect, and then you're still got 6 power out of it.
Yeah, assuming they
There's
killed
their
it
three
on
bodies
turn.
immediately. Yeah.
And maybe you got 12 power and if they don't answer it, how on earth are they surviving what 12 4/4s with
Yeah.
indestructible?
Yeah. 48 power coming at you.
All right, that's our first 10, I think. It's a lot harder
Yeah.
to deal with. I feel like overall it's like power swing is a little bit lower than that 9 we had earlier, but like that one is just so much easier to deal with.
Exactly. There is like no floor on this card.
Yeah. Summon Primal Garuda. Garuda. It's a 3/3 with flying, and for 4 mana, this creature deals 4 damage to target tapped creature an opponent controls. Okay, so you just play it like a removal spell on your turn, and then you can another target creature you control get +1/+0 until and flying till end of turn, so it just leaps it. This seems great. I'm into this.
I think so. I mean, we used to, Flame Tongue Kavu was still an amazing card, and that could hit any creatures, but didn't fly, and it was probably dead within 2 turns anyway because it only had 2 toughness on the ground. So you're get a couple extra leaps here.
The fact that
And
you
we'll
get to
certainly
blow
get,
something up on the first one makes it like also
yeah,
kind of counteract the fact that it dies.
exactly.
It's like a 1-for-1 anyway. You get to hit them for 3, and it hits something else with 2 of your other creatures for 2 turns.
Yeah, it could easily get, even in white with smaller creatures, like 8 to 10, 8, 8 damage, 10 damage out of this.
Yeah, between it attacking and then the other 2 creatures.
Yeah,
I think this is good. I don't think we're cutting this. Is this like a 7 because of that removal target thing?
I think so. It's not premium removal, but it's good removal.
Yeah, stapled onto some other stuff.
Yeah.
Into it. Ultima, 5 mana, and it is going to be a sorcery. Destroy all artifacts and creatures. End the turn. Oh, interesting. You don't get to, if you're super late in the game, you don't get to be the first to progress.
It's exactly what I was thinking. You don't get the rebuild.
Which with
Now,
after most board clears, you don't really, care.
you do get the uh you do get to nullify all death triggers.
Oh, shit. That's cute,
Which is
but probably
which,
not relevant, right?
no, it probably equally hurts you as much as it's likely to hurt them, but it's interesting.
Okay, okay. Board clears, I think, are always good little oh shit buttons to have. I don't think they're usually haymakers, and a lot of decks like Boros or whatever, a lot of times they're just blanks. So I'm just gonna say it's like a 7. You're not ever cutting them. They can win you the game, they can be nothing.
I agree with that. I've got it at like a 7.
All right. Oh, wait. What? I think my thing is messed up. I think I have the backside of a card here.
Yeah, the next card you have is the front side.
Ah, I
They
see.
came in out of order.
Venet, Heart of Hadolin, 3 mana for a 3/3. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn, and for 7 mana, you can exile it. Exile target non-land permanent and transform. Oh, a built-in exile spell? It turns into a
Okay.
4/4 indestructible. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control. Until your next turn, it gains indestructible. If it's a legendary creature, also draw a card. Holy shit.
Yeah, this
And
thing does a lot.
it's just a 3 mana 3/3 to boot. And most creatures in this stupid format are legendary because of, all the named characters.
Yeah, we just in white, we have 10, 11, 12 legends.
Okay.
And a lot of them add uncommon too. They're not all rares or anything like that.
Yeah. I think this is an excellent card. I don't like it's on rate. I don't think it's going to be hard to get one draw spell off of this. And then 7, getting to exile something and then turning it into something even scarier is excellent. So this seems game winning. I'm going to call it an 8.
I think it is. I think it's just a 3-drop that, like, the nice thing about it is you can play it on 3, but I think you ideally want to be playing this on like 6. You play this and then play another 3-drop legend, draw a card, and then untap and exile something.
Yeah,
And they only have
certainly.
one turn to remove it.
And
And you've
also,
already
like,
got your card back.
also if you happen to play it on 3, it's never the end of the world if your opponents are using premium removal on your 3
Nope.
drops.
Absolutely not.
So, I mean, it is a rare, so it's a little sucky. So I like protecting it, but it's also just not the biggest creature in your deck. It's a curve filler that also just happens to be very good. Someone in chat's asking, what is the speed of the set? Will the card have time to be flipped? We have no idea. I've played multiple commander games with the new cards, but I have not played any limited. So we're just taking guesses and reading the cards, as we see them. So
You will get some idea of that tomorrow. When we
yeah, we're
stream
doing
your
12 hours of early access. So if you guys are here on Twitch, make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. And if you're on the YouTube channel, it will be up in a day. Weapons Vendor, 4 mana for a 2/2. When this creature enters, draw a card at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control equipment, you may pay 1. When you do, attach a target equipment you control to target creature. When this creature enters, draw a card. So you just get to do the thing. When the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control an equipment, doesn't equip it to itself. It's equipped to a target creature.
Yeah,
So
it
that's
can
nice.
obviously do it to itself, but doesn't have to, which is
So that
nice.
turns all those 4 mana equips into a cheap equip.
Yeah, that's true.
And 4 mana for a 2/2 that draws a card has been fine in the past. I think this card is very
Yeah,
good. Even
I
in a deck with pretty minor like art, I think everything is going to have like some interaction, even if it's not built around it, and you're still getting the card on rate.
and also because you're in a format where you have a go wide deck. A lot of formats do, but you also have an equipment deck. Just a body, even if it's not a great body, is more relevant.
Yeah, I think this is like I'm going to give it like that sort of averagey. I feel like equipment decks really, really want it, and others are less so, but I think it's going to be playable. I'm going to call it a 6.
I think it's 6 as well.
I think it'll play like a 5 in decks that don't have equipments, of course, but like it's playable in any deck. So I think it's got that range of a 5 to a 7. And there are so many equipment synergies in this format. Next up, we have an artifact for 4 mana. When this enters, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until this artifact leaves, and it's a mana rock for white. I mean, it's just like an O-ring with some mana, which is nice. A little expensive, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm guessing because equipment and vehicles are like sub-themes that this is going to be a heck of a lot easier than a typical O-ring to remove.
It could be, although we haven't really seen any, like, at least in white, any like disenchant type effects.
Yeah.
And we're almost done with white, so you'll probably see some in red, but
And
and
green
green.
will have it. Yeah, I think my guess is that this will be easier to remove, but certainly could be wrong about it. So I'm gonna say this is like it's a little bit more expensive than an O-ring. I'm gonna guess this is like a 6.
I'll go a little higher. I'll go 6.5. I just like having these effects in my deck.
Fair enough. Next up, White Mage's Staff. 2 mana, job select, makes a 1/1, gets +1/+1 and has whenever this creature attacks you gain a life, and is a cleric in addition to its other types. So this would trigger that rare white mage.
Sure.
Recurring life gain triggers, which is nice for. But the 2 cards we saw that cared about that were both rares. So,
Yes.
But that said, I still like a 2/2 lifelinker for 2 mana that can then equip onto other things and give it lifelink, or, not lifelink, but life gain.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, this seems excellent. I don't think I'm ever cutting this.
I think the card's fine. I think we're probably on all of these. I'm probably less slower on this than the other ones because the equip cost is less.
6. I'm going to call it a 6. What are you calling it?
Like a 5.5.
The Wind Crystal. We've got 4 mana for a legendary artifact. White spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. I usually don't like that in limited. If you would gain life, you gain twice that much life, and for 6 mana, creatures you control gain flying and lifelink till end of turn. So it just wins you the game at the end. Does it do enough? I don't think it does.
No, I don't think so.
This is a 1. I can't see enough life gain where I would care about this. Like, maybe there's a world where, like, mono white is draftable, and then I care a little bit about the first clause, but for the most part...
Probably the only way this matters.
Yeah, I don't think this is limited playable. I'm going to call it a 1.
Nope.
All right, next up, You're Not Alone. It's a Final Fantasy IX card, the best Final Fantasy. 1 mana, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If you control 3 or more creatures, it gets +4/+4 instead. I like it. It's a fine, I mean, that's kind of the rate I want my combat tricks to be at. I'm going to say this is a 5. I'll play one of these. I'm probably not playing the second one super often.
That's probably right. I probably end up cutting this more often than not. I don't love combat tricks that don't have hexproof or indestructible on them at this point.
Agreed. Okay. Rating wise, yeah, 5.
5, yeah.
All right. Zach Fair, 1 mana for an 0/1. It enters with a +1/+1 counter on it, so it's good for some synergies. 1 mana, sacrifice it. Target creature you control gains indestructible till end of turn. Put Zac Fair's counter onto a creature and attach an equipment that was attached to Zac Fair to that creature. That's kind of nice. I like the synergy or the thematic here where it's a 1 mana 1/2, which is fine. But he is supposed to sacrifice himself and help the other party member, which is really cool.
Makes sense. Yeah, so they would get the +1/+1 plus if something's equipped to them. They get that. Yeah.
Yep. Well, they get the +1/+1 counter no matter what.
No matter what, yeah. But
Yeah.
if there's an equipment, they get that.
And Boros is the equipment one, which is the format where I'm a lot more likely to want 1-drops that can attack and do stuff. So I think this is a good card. I don't think I'm cutting this. It's probably like a 5 or a 6 in a 5 in general and a 6 in Boros.
Sounds about right.
All right, that is it for white. Not too shabby. What do you think?
I feel like I say this every time we do this, but white feels crazy aggressive because that's what it is.
Agreed. Okay, let's move on to blue. Astrologian's Planisphere.
Astrologian.
What is that a word?
I think it's like not really, but it's like astrologist. But I don't know. I think it's astrologian. I don't know why.
Whatever. Astral something Planisphere. It's gonna be an equipment. Artifact has job select. Makes a 1/1. Equipped creature is a wizard in addition to its other types, and when you cast a non-creature spell, and whenever you draw a third card for a turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So it's a 2 mana 1/1 that slowly gets bigger. I think that's fine, and then you can make your other creatures bigger. It's a little like low statted to start, but it is just 2 mana. I think this is good.
I wish this. I mean, it'd probably just be too good. I wish the counters went on the equipment.
That would be way too good, yeah.
It would definitely have a much higher equip cost than 2 if that was the case.
Yeah, is big non-creatures. Boros is not Boros. Azorius is artifacts specifically, so you're going to get some synergies there. Control means you're also going to be casting a lot of instants and sorceries for Dimir, so it seems to fit every single one of the sort of archetypes for blue. So I think
except Simic is whatever as usual.
Well, it says ramp, so a lot of ramps are instants and sorceries, but
that's
yeah.
True.
This can't be bad, so I'm just gonna say it's like a 6.
Yep. Note that it's like prowess. It's non-creature, not instant or sorcery. So other artifacts. So Azorius will be even happier with
vehicles. Cargo ship. This is from Final Fantasy IX. Flying and vigilance, and you can tap it. Add a colorless. Spend this mana only to cast an artifact spell or activate an ability of an artifact source. Crew 1, and it's a 2/3 flyer with vigilance. This seems excellent. I'm gonna say this is a 6.
I think so. We've certainly seen enough artifacts that the ramp is certainly relevant. You're not going to get it strained. You're not going to get have the mana be useless. And pretty good rate. 6 seems good.
Combat tutorial. 3 mana. Target player draws 2 cards. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. Wow. Divination. I hardly knew you.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I mean, Divination's always been playable. Now it's just better.
Titus got his... So he has a water sword, and he's attacking a water elemental, and it's not doing anything. And Lulu, who's the black mage, who teaches you about how to do the rock, paper, scissors magic attack damage, is shaking her head and like forehead palming, whatever that like gesture is called. And he's like, oops. Face palm. Yeah. So like, this is cool. And then she says, clueless, aren't you? Good thing I'm here. She does call him clueless. And so, yeah, this is an excellent card. I like Final Fantasy.
No.
This is cool. He's attacking the wrong kind of blob. Lulu was an excellent addition.
Yeah, it's Lulu's doing these emotes.
Yeah, this is excellent. The blob is so happy looking. This is divination. This is excellent. I'm gonna say this is a 7. I'm never cutting this.
Nope, this is already something that triggers that. I guess triggers that astrologian's planisphere twice for a non-creature, and you draw your third card that turn.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting. I don't think I care because that's a rare, but
No, but it's like it sounds a lot like draw your third card, but all you need is this, and you've got it.
yeah. And I think there's like some counter synergies that you might have for like Simic because there's I think some counter synergies in green. So I think just overall Divination Plus is never a bad card. So
Agreed.
Dragoon's Worm, 3 mana for a 2/3 flyer, and when this creature enters, create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token. So for 3 mana, you get 2 bodies, so that's going to be excellent. It's a flyer, extra stuff for like artifacts and equipments. Yeah, this seems excellent. I think this is a 6.
So we kind of agree that Windrake's not good enough anymore, right?
Correct.
So is this really that much better than Windrake?
I mean, Windrake attacks for the same amount, but this makes the extra body. So you
Makes
lose a
the extra,
butt, but you're making a 1/1. I think that's good. I think anytime you get
not
2
sure.
permanents, it's a substantial
That,
boost.
that is definitely relevant. And I guess it depends a little bit on the format, right? If you're in a format with a bunch of spirits or 1/1 flying tokens, that matters too, which we have not seen. And
Yeah.
we already went through white. Yeah, I can buy this as a 6.
Uh, what a fake GG. Thank you so much for that Prime sub. I really appreciate your support, my friend. Thank you, thank you. The decked out team appreciates you. Dreams of Laguna. 2 mana for an instant, surveil 1, then draw with flashback. So there's like the cast multiple spells, the prowess that we just saw. I think this is going to be playable, but 5.
I think so. 5 seems fine. I guess this is a like slightly more expensive think twice
Yep.
on the flashback side, but you also get the surveil, which you didn't get
Surveil.
in think twice. So
Yeah. All
yeah,
right.
I think it's a 5. I'll be curious with these like instant speed card draw spells. You know that in blue especially they make counter spells better and things with flash. You know the more you can do at instant speed, make some other cards better.
Edgar, King of Figaro. 6 mana for a 4/5. When it enters, draw a card for each artifact you control. That's going to be nuts. The first time you flip 1 or more coins each turn, those coins come up heads and you win those flips. What if it's specific? What if there's a card in
That's what I was just
constructed
gonna ask.
where it says, if it's tails, you win, or you pick, you win. And what if I pick tails?
So here's the release notes. Ignore the actual results of the coin or coins flipped when applying End Your Sauce ability. There's multiple coins, doesn't matter. Some effects instruct a player to flip a coin care only about whether it comes up heads or tails. Those effects don't cause any players to win or lose that coin flip. They just do an effect. So it's just heads. There is no winning or losing.
But what if there's a win at tails? Does that never
Yeah.
happen?
Uh, I think the only ones where you win are ones you. I don't know. I'm just reading the release notes. Don't mention that. They do mention like. No. Flip 5. Yeah, it doesn't really go into anything beyond that.
There might be no tails
Uh,
that say win, but I feel like.
that might be the case.
That said, we're going to have a lot of artifacts in the set, and we're going to draw a lot of cards. Even if you don't have a lot of artifacts and you have just like a normal amount of artifacts, I think this is still probably pretty fine. I'm going to assume the
Yeah,
coin flip thing is not relevant in limited.
agreed. So how many cards do you have to draw?
If I can
For this to be
reliably
good.
draw 1, I'm like kind of fine.
X-Men 4/5 draw a card. I guess yeah. Maybe it just feels underwhelming because it's a rare, but
Yeah. I think that's very much it. I just don't care if it's a rare. Like I'm gonna say if I have like 4 or 5 artifacts, I'm okay to run this. Now, if I have better game winning 6 drops, then that's different. But You
That's
have
fair.
room for 2 6 drops, and I don't typically have good ones, so
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think you will a lot of times have a couple
yeah.
to draw two.
There's a ton of stuff that want artifacts. So maybe Simic's not running this. Maybe Demir's not running this.
So
But
I feel like we're just gonna go through all this like, yeah, Civic just doesn't want any of these cards. Because it's
Simic's just
Civic.
always bad. So yeah, I think this is like a 5. It's going to be very playable. So I think you're going to play it in like half of your decks that you just get it, but you're not drafting it highly. It's not first pickable
That seems about right.
unless you're in
Although I wonder,
Azorius.
yeah, I mean, or do you like pack one, pick one this card and just build artifacts?
No, because then you have a deck full of shitty artifacts. Like
Yes,
I
but
want to be in artifacts
you could
because it's
you
open.
could you could spend 6 mana and draw a bunch of those shitty artifacts.
I could. I don't want to. That sounds like your kind of deck, though. What do you think? 5?
I think 5.
All right. Eject. 4 mana. The spell can be countered. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand and draw a card. I like bounce spells when they replace themselves.
Agreed. It's not just creatures too, which is nice.
I liked, yeah, non-land permanent. I was gonna say I liked the Kaldheim one where it was like 2 and then kicker 2 to draw the card. The flexibility on it was really nice, but that one could only do creatures, I think. So
Oh, I think was
Frost
there one
Breath
in
or
Kaldheim?
something.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of like um Zendikar Rising had Into the Royal, which did that too.
I think that's what I'm thinking, honestly. I think you're right. I know you're right, but I also thought there was one in Kaldheim, but I think you're right. There's not. That's fine. I think these have gotten worse over time. I've found my bounce spells to not be as good. I think tempo in general has been a little weaker for me lately just because of how fast the formats are. You don't really have time to like get that tempo. I like the
I
control tempo. You know what I
I
mean? Like,
I agree. I think that it hasn't been enough. Although the fact this isn't just a tempo play, the fact that it keeps your card parity is nice.
certainly. I mean, the ones that don't have been like not playable in a lot of the sets. Rating wise, I think this is okay. I'm probably okay to play 1, but I feel like it's still kind of cuttable. So 5.5.
I think so. It's just it's still 4 mana. It's still that's kind of a clunky mana spot. A lot of times you don't
Agreed.
want too many of them.
And it's like not very flexible, which doesn't help.
True. Oh, wait.
Ether. What?
I would say you can. I was just looking at it. You can target your own stuff too in that if you ever wanted to.
That's true. Like you bounce saga creatures or something.
Yep.
Ether 4 mana for an artifact. You can tap it, exile target artifact, add a blue. The next time you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets. Restore 20 MP. That's really cute.
This doesn't. This definitely doesn't come anywhere near the flavor accuracy of Phoenix Down.
Yeah. I feel like if I'm restoring MP, though, I am casting more spells. So I feel like it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not even saying they had a better option. Like, I think this is fine. The other one is maybe just too good.
Agreed. What do you do with more mana? You cast more spells. You cast a second spell. I like it.
Sure.
I'm here for the flavor. That said, I think having artifacts, ETB, be in your graveyard, be on the battlefield, all relevant. Double casting your spells, pretty relevant.
I like that in the context of Phoenix Down, where it was a mana. Here it's 4. Like, that's a lot.
It's 4 and it does nothing until you get to set up. But, hear me out. I think this is a split rating card. Because I don't think it's
Okay.
going to be good enough in any archetype except for Is It, which specifically says its archetype is big non-creatures. So if we're getting
Okay.
to double cast and ramp into cards like the Strixhaven cards, then I think this is going to be good in that deck.
I think that's fair.
Not Prismari Command, but what's the big version?
Like Magma Opus?
Yeah, like Magma Opus. There was another one at Uncommon that was like also 7 mana that like made 4 dudes and did a bunch of shit.
The one that made 2/4/4s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like
Elemental.
treasures or something. It was pretty good. So if you're double casting and ramping into it, I think that's good. So I'm gonna go on a limb and say this is like a 6 in Is It, and then like a 1 in
Okay.
everything else. Because I do think this will be good, very good in any Is It deck.
Did see that. I did just take a quick look because most of the 4 mana stuff is it's when you cast a non-creature spell. So you don't get like double copies. You don't get it. Sometimes it's like cast or copy.
Yeah,
You
it
don't
does
get that.
specifically say big non-creature spells, so it could be like
Yep.
creatures and artifacts. But I'm assuming it's Is It. There's got to be big spells, right?
Oh, agreed. Yeah, I'm sure there will be. And I mean,
So
at minimum you've got the tiered spell
yeah. We've seen
when
a
you
lot
could.
of commons and uncommons for in white specifically. That was like, oh, this goes in 3 out of the 4 or 3.5 out of 4 of all the archetypes listed. This one feels very 1 out of 4.
Yes, although I guess this could go into Simic maybe that wants to ramp, so wants to play big things.
Yeah, but the big things are probably not instants and sorceries, right? They're probably
Probably, but maybe
creatures.
you get the blue instance from the Is It side. I don't know.
But
I'm
that
trying
still
to
counts as Is It.
but to the Simic deck then. I don't know. I'm just trying to make an argument for it somewhere else. But yeah, I don't mostly because I don't really understand what the hell Simic's trying to do.
It says ramp. It says town. I think it's
Yeah, but
towns.
ramp
It's
into what is the thing we don't know yet.
it's usually big creatures, and it also says town ramp. So I'm guessing
Yeah,
there's going to be like, do you remember like gatebreaker ram?
yeah.
So I think it's gonna be shit like that, and like, some big ooze or something at the top end. I don't know. That's just my guess. We'll find out. But I think this is gonna be Is It. What's your rating?
Yeah, I'm not split with you. I guess one thing I did just note is also I guess it's good. I guess it still isn't though. I guess it's good with flashback spells that are expensive.
Yep.
But that still isn't. So yeah, I think so.
All right. Go Master of Mimicry. What?
Just the name makes me
Oh.
laugh.
3 mana for a 2/4 with XX tap. Copy target activated or trigger ability you control X times. You may choose new targets for the copies. This ability can't be copied, and X can't be 0. Interesting. I don't know what activated abilities and stuff we're going to care about, but I'm assuming there's something, even if it's kind of obscure. It's a 3 mana 2/4. Wizard might be relevant. Legendary creatures are relevant in some of the situations. Like in Azorius,
Uh,
there was the white card that like playing legendary creatures. So I think this is going to be playable, but I don't know if I'm going to have a ton of activated abilities that I care about like copying.
no, so this is 2 mana basically to make one copy.
It does say triggered ability. So there's a world where like, do you remember like the bounce mages where like ETBs you tap something down or
Yeah,
ETBs bounce something? If you're copying that spell, like something like that, I think that could be super good if
I
those
mean
exist.
at minimum all the job select equipment you can get an extra 1/1 for 2 mana.
Ah, yeah. So that's that, and there's a lot of those. So I think this is going to be better than it looks. At nothing else, it's like a good body for a 3-drop, so it's like a really nice curve. I think this is going to be a 7 in the average deck.
I think the body is nice because the ability is painfully slow.
Yeah. Some decks might just be a 5, might just be a filler creature and
Yeah,
do nothing, but I feel like the upside on this without knowing what activated and triggered abilities are, but like if it was only activated abilities, I think I'm not interested. Triggered abilities,
agreed.
I think we can find some good stuff to do. There's got to be a Frost Links, in every color equivalent, like a, ETB do a thing.
Oh, for sure. It's how many of those abilities are
Yeah.
worth an extra 2 mana to get
And
the extra copy of.
and if it's like Bounce Mage, I think it's going to be excellent. I'm trying to think of what we had. There was like the white 4-drop that drew a card. You just get to draw extra cards. You have to have a lot of
Yeah,
mana though. But I feel like the flexibility is nice. Oh, sagas.
sagas. Yeah,
Those are triggers. Yeah, I think there's going to be enough incidental damage. I'm willing
the
to spec on this.
sagas. The sagas are nice because you're getting those abilities with no mana cost that turn, like potentially.
Yeah. And so you have all your mana available, so you just get to get it 4 times or 3
Yeah,
times. 2 times is
yeah.
really a stick,
So
but you know what I mean. I'm gonna go on a limb, say 7.
You can make like 642 knights with that white card.
You sure could.
Um, yeah, I like it. I think the sagas are a big deal. I like it, the 7.
All right. Ice Flawn, 6 mana for a 5/4. When this creature enters, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls. Put a stun counter on it. So if you have 8 mana, you could do it twice. And it has basic land cycling, which we're always here for. We love land cycling. Makes it automatically like a whole half point or full point higher. And I've found that these stun triggers, even though the body's a little unimpressive, the stun counter is better than you would give it credit for, I think, more often than not. So this feels like a fine card. I'm going to say it's like a 6.
It's a 6 as well, I think. Also, if I'm correct, we could actually use Go-Go to copy the island cycling as well.
Oh, interesting.
Because it is an activated ability cycling.
Ice magic. We saw fire magic in the intro. 2 mana, and you can cast return target creature to its owner's hand. Target creature's owner puts it on top or on bottom, or target creature's owner shuffles it into their library. Wow, the shuffle effect is really expensive.
It's a 2 mana unsummon, 4 mana time ebb, 8 mana, shuffle the card away.
Which is fine. Like the 4 mana top or bottom is fine. The 2 mana bounce. I like the flexibility here. Nothing is like a good rate, but everything is fine. And the flexibility, like, I just need to remove your blocker to kill you. Great. I don't want to get like, 1 for Ode. So put it on top of your deck. Great. This is a bomb. I need it to be gone forever. Great. A little expensive, but great. Yeah, this is okay. I think it's flexibility gives it a bump, so I'm going to say 6? 5.5?
Yeah, I'm right between those two. I'd just say 5.5, although one thing, just because I know we mentioned in the intro the tiered how, like, say you cast Blizzara for 4, that the mana value is still 2. We'll see it in a few cards, but the way the 4 or greater clause works in this set is they'll say whenever you cast it on creature, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, not its mana value was 4. So like that would count.
Okay, that's important to know. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like the tempo cards are just not as good as they used to be. So I'm between like a 5 and a 6. I think this is playable, but I do think there's going to be times where I just cut it. I think I like the one that replaces itself a little more.
I do too.
But I like the flexibility of this as well, so I'm just going to say it's like a 5.5. 2 mana for a 2/1 flyer. When this creature attacks, surveil 1. I like that. It's a great rate. 6.
Didn't want to try to pronounce that?
Nope.
Because I have no idea how you would.
Ilmeg Pixie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Sounds good enough to me.
6?
6 seems good.
Jill Shiva's Dominant. 6 mana, 3 mana for a 2/2. When it enters, return up to 1 other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. 5 mana, you can exile it, return it to the battlefield transformed. Okay, so let's assess the front.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is and this is good with this is an ETB of trigger for the like for the copy guy.
Yeah, it's just a better mana war on the front, right? Because it can hit any permanent non-land.
And on the back, a 4/5 target creature can't be blocked this turn. And then on turn 2, it can make itself not be blocked. So at least you get 1 guaranteed trigger. Tap all lands your opponents control, exile Shiva, then return it to the battlefield. Oh, so this does not kill itself.
No, I think there's a cycle like this.
I like it. I like it when they don't kill themselves.
Then when it comes back, it bounces something.
Yeah, this is excellent.
Which is probably more relevant here than on the white one, because this is less either game ends or it dies, then that one does.
I love the tempo on a body here. And then I'm happy with the backside, even though it isn't like super effective the first 2 turns. And the fact that it doesn't die. I'm going to say this is like an 8.
It's a good mana sink. It's a 3-drop that's good later in the game.
With some built-in
And
tempo. I love it.
8 seems pretty good.
All right. Moving on. The whatever. 1 mana for an instant. As additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a legendary creature or pay 2. So I'm going to say this is 3 mana. Counter target activated ability, triggered ability, or non-creature spell. Interesting.
I don't think that's good enough.
I don't either. I don't want to say it's not playable. It's certainly something I'm interested in keeping up, like picking for the sideboard. But I do think this is like constructed, playable. I think this is very commandery. We're looking to, swan songs type cards. I don't think this is quite good enough. I'm going to say it's like a 3.
I think so too. I mean, I know it's got a little more than that because it's got a negate too, but like Stifle's never been good enough in limited, and even combined with 3 mana with the chance to negate stuff. I mean, sure, I'll bring this in out of my sideboard and sealed against, bomb non-creature spells.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it.
Next up, the Lunar Whale. 4 mana for a 3/5 flying vehicle with crew 1. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. As long as the Lunar Whale attacked this turn, you may play the top card of your library. Huh.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at this card because I had years ago at my local game store, I was having I think it was like Aether Tide Whale came out from Aether Revolt, and we're having an argument about whether or not whales could fly because it looked like it was flying in the art. And one guy was insistent, and I was like finding other magic whales that could fly, like Killer Whale, because you can pay 5 to give it flying, and he was getting all annoyed. That just made me think of this, like, oh look, it's a flying whale.
Yeah, there is some flying whales and flying sharks now. I think this card's very good. Even if they have like a 4/4 flyer, it can still attack and let you cast cards. Getting to see your top card is not 0 value. It's a good blocker. Its crew is really cheap. I'm here for this card. I think it's a little slow, albeit, but valuable.
It's hard to quantify like what value that information is. Like, I think by this point we know how valuable like Gitaxian Probe is, getting to know what's in your opponent's hand. But there's significant value to you knowing your top card of your deck and them not.
Yeah. And getting to play it. Like, I think this is just a very solid 7. And I think it can win games if just like left to overpower your opponents through sheer card advantage.
And just it's so easy. Crew 1 is so easy to get.
And flying is so easy to get free attacks with.
True.
All right. Magic Damper. 1 mana. Target creature you control gets +1/+1, gains hexproof till end of turn. Untap it. What? We're just getting...
No, it's no counter. It's not a counter.
Oh, okay.
I had the exact same thought. I'm like, oh, we power crept out. I can't think of the name
Shore
of the
Up?
card now. Snakeskin Veil.
Is it Shore Up, I think, is the blue one?
I think you're right. Yeah, +1. That's actually the exact same card.
Oh, does Shore Up untap?
It does.
Oh, I didn't think it did. I thought we power crept Shore Up, but I guess Shore Up's just better than I thought.
It's just a functional reprint of Shore Up.
All right.
So what do we think? Like,
I think these are always good. I'm gonna say it's a 6.
6 hexproof. You could maybe steal, ambush something with it.
Yep. Metoya Archon Elder. 3 mana for a 1/4. Whenever you scry or surveil, draw a card. Which we did see a little bit of that. And it's an okay statted creature. It's probably just a 5, but I think there are some decks you'll get a little lucky, and this can be really, really easy to trigger.
Agreed. There's some surveil stuff in this set we've seen already. Not a lot, but enough to...
If I had to guess right now, based on what we've seen, I would say it's about a 50-50 chance that I'm never first picking this card. Out of any pack, probably. But if I just get it at a good rate, I'm in blue, I get it midway through the pack, there's like a 50-50 chance I run this card.
Blue a lot of times is interested in, especially like a Demir deck was interested in a 1/4 blocker anyway.
There was also
It's trying to get to the long game.
there was that one card that was repeatable with flashback that surveilled, which was
Yep.
new.
Yep, the kind of think twice variant. Yeah.
And then there was the fairy that every time it attacks you surveil.
Surround. Yep, I
So
think
like
those are
there's
the couple
certainly
we've
stuff
seen.
here that's going to be like repeating triggers. I think this is going to be an interesting card, but again, not something that every deck can support.
No, definitely narrow.
Memories returning 4 mana for a sorcery. Reveal the top 5 cards. Put one of them into your hand and then choose an opponent. They put one on the bottom of the library, then you put one in your hand, and then put one on the bottom of your library.
How many different ways can we factor fiction?
So you get the best card, the third and fifth best card. So yeah, first best
Yes.
card, middle card, and worst card.
Yes.
I mean, this is great. I'm never cutting it, so it's an 8.
It's a 4 mana sorcery speed
It's a
card
7.
draw. It's a 7, yeah.
But it's cool.
They just keep every like year or so they have to have a new version of Factor Fiction.
Yeah. The Prima Vista, 5 mana for a flying. When you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, the Prima Vista becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. So this is a 9 vehicle.
I was gonna say what is the story behind the Prima Vista?
Is I don't I think you're right, HD. I think it's the Queen's ship. I just don't ever remember hearing the name of it. I don't think it's the Flying Opera Company house.
What Wiki says?
It doesn't look like it.
Okay, so the Wiki took me to the one. There's a version of this in Final Fantasy XIV, but it says it's named after MS Prima Vista from Final Fantasy IX, the theater ship of Tantalus Theater.
Oh, the Rise is correct. I did not know that was the name of the Tantalus ship.
Prima Vista is Italian for first sight.
Huh. I knew it wasn't Hilda's ship from Sid because that had a specific name and then it had a new name when he remade it. That was the first one was the Hildegard, and then they had remade it, I think. So yeah, I mean, Yanks looked it up. It's the theater ship, but yeah, I did not know that was the theater ship's name.
Cool.
But yay, more Final Fantasy IX cards. It just becomes a creature when you cast a non-creature spell.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's a threat.
Yeah, it's a 5-powered flyer. A good chunk of the time it can cast without crewing or attack without crewing, and even still, only 2 crew for a 5-powered flyer is not bad.
And it's a 5 mana non-creature spell on its own, which is going to be good for example.
It's an artifact for Azorius. So, I mean, I think this is going to be very playable. Maybe it's a 6?
Like a 6.
It feels high for equipment like that, or for a vehicle like that, but... All right. Next up, we have the Quick Merchant.
Quick. I have no idea.
It's an 11 card, so I should know it. But although I played 11 for the first like 3 years, and then not again after that, so I know the game did some pretty significant changes after that. A 1/4 for 3 mana. You can pay 1, tap it, draw a card, then discard. You can pay 7, sacrifice the creature, draw 3 cards. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each town you control. So this is the Simic town situation. Good blocker early for 3 mana. Yeah, this card seems fine. I like a loot. I like drawing 3. It's like a 5?
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I remembered that Final Fantasy XI, at least at first, was really terrible.
No, it was amazing.
No, was it at some point it was really bad?
You're thinking 14.
Oh, 14
When it
when
first
it
came
started.
out, it was so
Okay,
bad they threw the whole thing in the trash and started a new
got it.
game.
Okay, never mind. I was gonna laugh at the idea of the first Civic card we seeing being from the game that wasn't very good, but never
Uh,
mind. I was wrong.
11 is like my most fondest memories
Okay,
of gaming. Like all I want to do is go to the dunes and just like have my thief pull for me. That's it. That's what I want in life. I want to drink
okay,
my orange juice with my little carbuncle and hang out.
okay. I knew it was one of the MMOs. I thought it was 11. My bad.
11
Um,
so 11 was really cool too because when it first came out in Japan and I played day 1 US, and so all the players, the text was straight up in Japanese and they had a translate option in the game, which was super cool. You like click on it, drag it down, and it would translate. I thought that was
oh,
like
okay.
way ahead of
Yeah,
its time. It was super
yeah.
fun. So anyway, that said, I don't know what
So
this
yeah,
idiot is, but it's a
yeah.
5.
I think it's a 5. Looters are good though.
Yeah, agreed. This is a different art style, which is interesting. 3 mana for a 2/2 blue magic. When it enters, you may cast instant or sorcery card from your graveyard, and mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell. If the spell would be put into the graveyard, exile it instead. That seems good. I mean, it's not a 3-drop, but it's you know, effectively a 6-drop. Recast your removal spell or something, or your
And it can hit
divination.
and it can hit stuff from their graveyard too.
Oh shit, I didn't even read that, but it makes sense why. I was wondering why it had the clause,
The mana of
that
any
the
type.
mana. Yeah, I was like, that seems weird, but sure. Oh yeah, I think this is very good.
Yeah. It's like a yeah, it's like a
Yeah, uncommon Snapcaster.
yeah, yeah. It's like a 6.
Yeah, I like it at a 6. I mean, 3 mana is a lot when you're needing to recast a relevant spell. So, your options on the spells you can recast is going to be pretty slim. You're not going to be casting your 5-drop removal spell again. So it's going to be like smaller things like divinations. So I don't think it's going to be super powerful.
That's
If
true.
this if this
The
gave like
advantage
a 3 mana discount to the spell, then that's like a whole new story, right?
for sure. The advantage of like Snapcaster Mage, right? Yeah, it's 2 mana. It's not really the fact that it's 1 mana less. It's the fact that you are playing it in formats that have really efficient 1 mana removal spells like Swords to Plowshares or Lightning Bolt.
Yep. And here, we can't get much for 2 that we care about. And at 3, you're getting like a divination or like a red removal spell is your best case scenario. And even then, you're doing like 4 damage or something, which is still good. It's just not
Definitely.
like game winning good.
Yep. Definitely.
Yeah. Realms Sketching. 4 mana for a sorcery. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact, creature, or land, and you don't have to be the one that controls it, which is really interesting. These are always solid, a little hard to cast, but I think they're usually a 6. I don't like them because you have to sit around on them for a little bit, but, when you can mitigate their bomb and make your own bomb is pretty nice.
Yeah, and I guess even at some, if need be, I mean, if you're in Simic and it's what you care about, I guess you can copy a land and ramp.
Yep.
Maybe make another town.
Or copy the spell or recast the spell just saw, which is cool. So yeah, I think this is fine. What do you think?
Yep.
6?
I think it's a 6.
All right. 4 mana for a sorcery. Create a 3/3 blue robot warrior artifact creature token. Then, if the spell was cast from the graveyard, put 2 counters on it. Cool. I like 2 bodies for 1 card. 6. And it's double cast spells. I love it.
I think it's good. I wonder if Final Fantasy VI, what Esper meant in that. I imagine it's different than what it means in Magic.
What? Oh, I see. I didn't even read the name of the card, honestly.
Yeah, I like it. It's like you said, 2 bodies, 2 spells, 2 triggers on your 4 graders.
Yeah.
6 seems fine.
All right. Rook Turret. 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer. Whenever another artifact you control enters, draw a card. If you do, discard. Great.
Yeah.
Great rate for a flyer. It's an artifact itself. Triggers other things. Gives you good synergy for having worse artifacts in your deck to trigger more artifact synergy. So I feel like every deck is going to want this to some extent because artifacts are so wide ranged with like Azorius artifact stuff and
Is
what
it
other?
non-creature? So
Yeah, great. So rating wise, probably 5.5. Doesn't quite seem a 6.
yeah, I think that's right. It's funny, again, another one of those cards like a year or two ago, this would have been like a 7 because the rates would have been not a year or two, maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's probably a 6 in Azorius, but I feel like this gets cut some amount of the time in the average deck.
Probably. Probably.
All right. 2 mana for an equipment with job select. The creature gets +1/+0 and has whenever this creature attacks, untap target attacking creature and is a cleric. So it's a 2/1 for 2 that untaps attacking creature. So it has vigilance and or can make something else vigilant.
Yeah, it's like pseudo vigilance, yeah.
This is the worst one of bunch.
Agreed.
This is fine. Decks that want artifacts can play this. It's a fine rate, but it's nothing special. And this is just a 5. It's not
5.
going to make the cut in in a lot of decks.
Agreed. It's just doesn't measure up to the ones we've seen already.
Shagan Sahagan. 2 mana for a 1/3. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, put a +1/+1 counter onto this creature. It can't be blocked. I've always liked those abilities. I'm into this card. I think it's a 6.
I think it's a 6, but now you have to try to read the flavor text.
Silence, shore walker. Try to escape, and I shall slice gills into your neck.
Very, very good.
It's just a lot of H's.
Just a lot of H's, yeah.
Scorpion Sentinel, 2 mana for a 1/4. As long as you control 7 or more lands, this creature gets +3/+0. Simic Ramp in an artifact. But it's a good blocker. It's a 2 mana, even in Azorius, right? It's a 2 mana artifact that's a good rate. A 1/4 for 2. I'm into
probably
it.
get the 7 lands eventually.
I think this is a solid 5, and it'll do better in like Azorius and or Simic, I guess.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's about right.
All right, side quest, card collection. When this enchantment enters, draw 3 cards, then discard 2. At the beginning of your end step, if you have 8 or more cards in your graveyard, transform this enchantment. Why not 7? Why you gotta make things complicated? It turns into a 4/4 flying vehicle that cruise for 1. This feels very underwhelming.
Flying on the card like a magic carpet is kind of cute, though.
Why is it not a magic card? I'm sure it's a sinner. I mean, I'm sure it's 14 has something. But
I'm sure, yeah.
It's probably the card back from the game or whatever. But I feel like you missed a good opportunity for some good cross brand
synergy.
Yeah.
There.
I don't think this is good.
Yeah, draw 3, discard 2 is fine. Like, that's good selection, but
for 4 mana,
do nothing. Yeah.
I think it's a 4.
Probably, I guess maybe it's like if you're playing this in Dimir with flashback cards, it's like draw 3, discard 2 flashback cards, and you kind of get some value there, but it's probably just not good enough.
Yeah. What's your rating?
I like it as a 4. Yeah, it's just you can get away with this in your deck, but you're not happy.
Jesus says all the side quests are meh. I think I agree. Sleep magic. Yay! It's 9. Enters, tap target creature. Doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. When enchanted creature is dealt damage, sacrifice this aura. So if they can find a way to like ping their own creature.
Interesting.
but it's so cheap, and that feels like a really hard thing to do, so it feels very good. Also, it's Echo. We love Echo.
But Echo was a character from League of Legends.
That is a different Echo.
Yeah, this is just so cheap that it's, even with the downside, it's worth playing.
I don't know what they can deal damage to their own creature with that gets them out of this very, very reliably. So I'm going to say that that's going to be tough to do. So just a 7?
I think so, unless we find some sort of pinger theme. I mean, I took a quick look at the wizard tokens, and they only deal damage to opponents, so
Yeah.
that's not...
I'm sure there's got to be something, otherwise it's a really weird clause to have.
Could just be a flavor thing, right? Like, if it's you're putting someone to sleep, then it would make sense if something
Hit
hit them or damaged them, it would wake them up.
Yeah, but even flavor has some, like, relevance.
Sure.
All right, Stolen Uniform, 1 mana. Choose target creature you control and target equipment. Gain control of that equipment until end of turn. Attach it to the chosen creature. Then you lose control of the equipment this turn. If it's attached to a creature you control, unattach it. Okay, so you just get to steal it for 1 turn and it goes back?
Yes.
No thank you?
No. Yeah, it's just... sure, there's some mythic sword or something that you can bring this in out of the sideboard and irritate people with it, but that's about
But even then, I don't want to draw this and then they don't draw the sword and then I'm just bricked.
Yeah, it's not good.
I would like it if I lost control of it, but they had to pay to re-equip it. Then we're talking. Maybe I bring that in against Boros just to annoy them.
I mean, they do have to reattach it. Because it says when you lose control, it becomes unattached.
But I mean that it stays on my creature. They're highly incentivized to re-equip it.
Yep.
Where it's like, oh, they get the thing until I pay to do it. Then that's a pretty sick card. But as is, I don't think so. I'm gonna say this is not exciting.
No, it's like the world's worst act of treason. Because it's only the equipment.
Now, hear me out. It doesn't say equipment you don't control, so it is equip creature at instant speed, which is kind of cute. So it's like a built-in combat trick.
Sure.
So like there's maybe a world where you're putting these in so you can flippity flip. If you have equipments that like when deal combat damage to a player, draw a card, right? And so you can like swap those around and do some cool stuff. But I don't think that's going to be anywhere near the average deck, and I probably only care about this in Constructed, and Constructed doesn't have a lot of blue artifact decks. So don't really care. This is a 1.
I guess maybe there's something in, like, if you were playing Esper, you could steal it and then sacrifice the artifact, the equipment.
Maybe. Still seems pretty fringe.
Agreed. Yeah, this is not playable.
All right, Stuck in Summoner's Sanctum. This is a 10 card. And the funny thing is that like this character on the front here, they've actually toned down her art a lot. She is way sexier and scantily clad in the game. Yeah, she's basically just wearing strings in the game. But this is going to be 3 mana for a flash enchant artifact or creature. When this aura enters, tap enchant permanent. Artifact or creature, tap it. When enchant doesn't untap during a tap step. Okay, so it also removes the activated abilities, which is really nice. I'm into that.
If it's artifacts, not just creatures.
Yeah, this is great. I'm surprised they have 2 of these, and they're both pretty solid. I mean, this is just premium removal, so 7?
This is the one you would expect to see, because it's the, at common, it usually gets 1. It's the sleep magic is kind of the outlier.
Yeah, and I don't know what to make of the sleep magic. I mean, it's 1, so great. Doesn't remove the activated abilities, but it can also be removed. I have no idea. All right.
I like this at a 7.
Summon Leviathan, 6 mana for a 6/6. Return each creature that isn't a Kraken, Leviathan, or Merfolk, Octopus, Serpent to its owner's hand. Cool. Tempo. Love that. Until end of turn, whenever a Kraken, Leviathan, Merfolk, Octopus, Serpent attacks, you get to draw. And it has Ward 2. This seems fine.
So 6 mana, 6/6 bounce everything else, basically.
Yep. And then you get one attack with it.
You get to draw a card.
Unless
on
you
the
have more of
attack.
these things.
True. Which I guess we've seen a Merfolk. And that's
Yeah.
it. Kraken, Leviathan, Merfolk, Octopus, Serpent.
I'm sure 10 probably has a Leviathan or something. I'm sure multicolor, there's got to be, the main villain is like a Leviathan. It's a flying whale, which I'm sure is going to be something.
We've seen a Merfolk.
I guess it
and
could
there
just be a
isn't...
whale, and that wouldn't count.
Yeah. We've seen a Merfolk, and there's also a blue octopus coming up, but that's it in terms of mono.
Yeah. Someone in chat saying this is the first time seeing Ward on a saga. Yes, but it's a creature, so it's not super uncommon, right? I feel like that's what I would expect to see.
Agreed.
I like this card. I think it is a 8. I mean, I feel like bounce everything, have a 6/6 on board is pretty strong.
Yeah, sometimes, well, I say sometimes that's not a huge advantage, but then you just don't play it, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, that'll probably go. I don't know if I put it at 8. Maybe it's like a 7.5 for me, but it's right around there.
Summon Shiva. Heavenly Strike. It's the actual abilities from the summons, which is really cool. 4/5 for 5 mana. Fine. Tap target creature an opponent controls, put a stun counter, 2 of them, and then draw a card for each tapped creature your opponent controls. So you tap it, it doesn't untap. You tap it again, it doesn't. So they only have one from this ability. Because the first one will wear off on your second or on your third try. Yeah. So it's fine.
Your turn one, you tap it. Yeah, it'll untap on their turn 2 before your turn.
Yep. So that said, I still think it's fine. Probably like honestly, the tempo of having a 4/5, they only attack once. I wish they attacked twice.
That's the problem with the three chapter sagas, right?
Yeah, I feel like we should. I feel like the creatures should have 4 sagas, even if they have to power them down a little bit. Like 1 time is just so little.
Agreed.
Or they should like sack at end step or something. But anyway.
Yeah, this is like a 6.
Yeah, I don't think I'm cutting it. It feels like it'll play pretty well as far as tempo goes, so I'm willing to give it a 6. Swallowed by Leviathan. 3 mana. Choose target spell. Surveil 2, then counter the chosen spell unless its controller pays 1 for each card in your graveyard. I like these. I don't mind that. So it's automatically unless they pay 2, because you could put them both in the graveyard. But I like that the counter spell that they can pay to get out of gets better over time.
Sure.
Like as the game continues, so it doesn't really feel like a huge drawback like it normally does. So this feels playable. I think this is probably a 5.
A 5, and I mean, I guess it's also nice that the absolute fail case is 3 mana Surveil 2.
Yeah.
You at least get something out of it as opposed to like a completely dead card.
Yeah. You like 5?
I like 5.
Whoa, Syncopate in Final Fantasy X art. I'm going to need this. I'm so excited to open my Final Fantasy stuff. Yeah, just a counter spell unless they pay X. I definitely had someone cast this for 1 to counter a spell when I had 1 mana open at day 2 of a GP. They felt really, really dumb. I was like, pay 1?
I was really hoping that was the end of the story, and the end of the story wasn't that you didn't realize you had 1 and let it get countered.
No, I did. I paid it. And the guy was just like, oh shit, I thought you didn't have 1 mana open or whatever. And I was just like, it wasn't hiding. Like my board state's pretty clean. It wasn't even like a creature mana. It was literally just like, I think they thought I was on a different turn cycle, because it was like their turn. I think I was on the play, and it was like my turn 3. And their turn 2.
Your 2 drop.
Yeah, and so I think they thought I was on turn 2 and then just like didn't look. Anyway, these cards are always
But
fine.
there's the opposite side of that, right? Which is like the absolute worst feeling is when you're in that exact situation and you do it and you get syncopated and then you play your land afterwards.
Oh, brutal. Yeah.
The
You
shame,
always
the shame land.
always have to play around the syncopate as best as possible, so that's going to be good. Rating wise, I think that this is always an okay card, but they're never fantastic, so it's probably like a 5, but I'm probably not cutting the first one.
Agreed.
I like syncopate well
just
enough.
it's just so cheap.
Because a lot of times, like, you can get the bombs for just 2 mana.
Or you get the second spell they play. Like,
Yeah. Thief's Knife, 3 mana, and it has job select, so it is a 2/2 that has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, and is a rogue in addition to its other types. Yeah, so this is the kind of thing I was talking about with that switchity switch card.
sure.
It's also at instant speed is really cool because you can remove their equipment, put it on your creature, and eat their stuff. So I don't know. Maybe there's a world where that is playable in a specific type of deck as a combat trick for you.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I think you need
What
to
was the
have
wording on that card? Actually, did it say if you don't control it, unequip
no
it?
choose target creature you control and target equipment. Gain control of that equipment until end of turn. Attach it to the chosen creature when you lose control of it. If
But
it's
if it's
attached to a creature,
yours, you know you never lose control of it.
no, so it stays attached.
So it is at least a good way to cheese out your 4 CMC, like your 4 mana cost equips, as a combat trick at instant speed. I like that
Sure.
card a little bit more. I still don't think it's like a split rating card. I still don't think it's like good in the average deck, but now the more and more I think about it, I think it is actually a good combat trick for specifically that deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like it's a split rating card. I'm gonna retroactively say it's a 1/5. Rating wise, I like this equipment card. I think it's really cool. Lots of cheap flyers. +1/+1, pretty cheap. Job select. It's a 2/2 for 3. That's fine. I'm not cutting this card. I'm gonna say it's a 6.
Agreed. I like that as 6. That's a strong enough effect that I'm happier paying the 4 if I need to.
Yep. Travel the Overworld. 7 mana for a sorcery. Affinity for towers. Draw 4 cards. So this is Simic?
Affinity for towns.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I said in my brain.
Not for Urza's Tower.
That's what I said in my brain. So it's probably going to cost you, just let's say the average deck, it's going to cost 1 less. Right?
Yeah, so there are
There's a lot of towns, I think.
23 towns.
Yeah, but a lot of them you're not
And
going to want to run.
there's a full cycle of 10 tapped common duels. They're actually land rarity, so my guess is they go in that last slot in the
Yeah.
pack, replacing basics.
I'm going to say this costs 6 in the average deck. I mean, Simic, this is a home run. It's probably a split rating. Like Simic, you're just running as many of these as you can find. But in a not Simic deck, it's probably like a 4.5, like borderline playable.
It sounds about right. Doesn't do enough for 7 or 6 mana in it if you can't consistently cast it for less.
Yeah, I feel like you need to be able to consistently cast it for like 5.
That sounds, yeah, I think so. 5 mana, draw 4.
Yep. All right, next up is a big octopus. This wouldn't get bounced from the Leviathan.
Yep, this
Notably.
is the other one.
2 mana for a 2/1 whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if it had at least 4 mana. Tap target creature, put a stun counter on it. Oh, baby, I love it. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if it had at least 8 mana was spent to cast it, put 8 +1/+1 counters.
It's an octopus. There has to be something to do with 8.
It's a split rating card. Lots of decks are not going to care about this. I mean, worst case scenario, it's a 2/1 for 4, and you will have 4 mana non-creature spells in every deck. So I think it's like playable. So I'm going to say it's like a 4.5 in a good chunk of decks. But specifically in Izzet, this is like a 7, right? Like the tempo on it, it's going to be very strong.
Agreed. And I'm trying to think. I wonder how many things can even trigger the second part in this set. I think there's an 8 mana thing in most colors, but there's only like 1 in each, so.
Yeah. So rating, you like that?
I do like that.
All right, next up, Valkyrie Aerial Unit. 7 mana, affinity for artifacts, costs less, obviously. 5/4 flying. When this creature enters, surveil 2. If you're casting this for 5 and it's a 5/4 flyer, I'm very fine with that. And equipment, artifacts are going to be super cheap and easy to come by, so I think this is actually very good, stat-wise.
Agreed. I think this will be easier to get its mana cost down than the Affinity for Towns one we saw. They'll just be more prevalent artifacts everywhere.
Yeah. Cool. Rating-wise, I think this is solid. I don't think there's a deck where a blue deck specifically that I'm not interested in playing this, and just it, how good it is probably on a scale. So 6.
6. Yeah, it's in that range, that middle ground.
The Water Crystal, 4 mana. Blue spells cost 1 less. If an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, they mill that many plus 4 instead. Each opponent mills cards equal to the number of cards in your hand for 6 mana. Youchies.
I see a uneaten cookie in the future.
Yeah, I see many cookies that I cannot eat. But I will try to play this card, certainly. And it's a 1. I mean,
yeah.
Even if there were other incidental mills, maybe if I have this card, I will bring it in and get my sideboard against Golgari.
True. Yeah, because it's not milling because it's not you milling them. It's just if they mill.
And Golgari is a self-mill archetype. So, like, you could just put this in and be like, have fun playing your deck. If they cast 3 spells that mill them, they're effectively dead because that's like 12 cards. Plus the 10 that they milled themselves. That's 22 cards. They're dead.
Yeah, this is a card a lot of people are talking about in constructed mill because of the grindstone or stuff where it technically says if all the cards share a cost, but really it's been around to say if 2 cards share a color, and now you've got 6 chances to hit.
Yeah. All right. It's a 1. Ishtola, 6 mana for a 3/5 cat druid. At the beginning of your end step, exile target creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. Then, if it's the first end step of the turn, there's an additional end step. Huh. So you just get to do it twice?
Yeah, and I guess if there's anything else that has end step triggers, you get them again.
Yeah. I think this seems good. There was another 3/5 that did something that was, I don't know if that was a mythic or not. Is this a cycle? Because there was a 3/5 that did something else. And it was also, oh no, it was blue. No, there was a 6-drop that was a 4/5 that drew every time you played like an artifact or something. I think that's what I'm thinking.
Yep. Yeah.
There was a white 3/5 that did something, but I think it was just like an uncommon. Yes, card seems excellent. Getting to flicker and do 2 ETBs, untap your creatures, give them vigilance effective. Like, that's the worst case scenario. It's not a home run, but it's like a 7. And if you have good ETBs, then it's like an 8.
Agreed. The white card, it's funny, the white card is a 5 mana 3/5 uncommon, but it is another cat from Final Fantasy XIV.
That makes sense.
And that one is whenever 1 or more creatures or artifacts die, draw a card.
Do you agree with the rating of a 7, 8, play up to an 8 if you have some good ETBs?
Yeah, I think so. And then you can mess around with it and go and get all sorts of triggered abilities happening all over the place.
Yeah. All right. That's the end of blue. Yanks, what do you think? White and blue done so far? You like it?
Yeah, it's definitely, maybe it's easy to say because it's Azorius is what we've done so far, but it seems like there's a lot of artifact synergies.
Yeah, certainly. It does feel like there's going to be artifacts run amok in this format, and I'm here for it. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's going to do it for our very first set review here on the Vods channel. Make sure you guys leave us a comment. I will be posting the next few videos in the days to come, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so that way we can give you guys some more set reviews. And we'll be doing early access, I think, the day after we post this. So if you guys want to see Final Fantasy days before you can get your hands on it on Arena for the streamer early access event, myself and VeggieWagon will be playing every single all day. We're going to do like 12-hour stream and then posting it here on YouTube for you guys who are watching. So make sure you guys, again, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton. We would really appreciate it. And if you guys would like to see some of these Final Fantasy cards in action, you guys can do so on our Decked Out channel. We already have the pre-con game up. Next Monday, the upgrade pre-con game goes up, and we've already played, I think, 2 or 3 other games with all Final Fantasy commanders. So go give Decked Out a follow. You guys can find the link to it on our YouTube channel that you're watching this on, and or in the description of all of our videos and all those things. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye!